Blackhurst, and I live in Nampa, Idaho.
Are they tiny?
My husband and I, we have 4 kids of our own. Our oldest daughter is 7, and then we have 3 boys, 5, 3, and 1, and they're wild. We chose to start having our kids at a really young age. I kind of have always had this idea like, we'll be done having kids and be retired early. And so that really, I feel like, played a huge role in why I make a good surrogate, because I'm still only 25 years old. I'm just at this prime age to have babies still, but we're done with our own.
It is a very small subset of the population of females who are ideal candidates for gestational surrogacy, and that's what can make it difficult to find someone in this instance. Megan is definitely one of those people that really kind of felt the call towards it.
Hi.
Never in a million years did I think she might be carrying my baby. We have become fast friends, and I guess the best way for me to describe it is she almost feels like a sister. I'm Kelsey Nixon. I'm a food personality. I've hosted cooking shows, written a cookbook, and I'm also a mom. You ready? 1, 2, 3. I have an amazing partner in crime, Robbie, who I've been married to for 11 years, and we have a son who is 7 years old, Ollie. We have a son that we lost a couple of years ago named Leo, who was born in 2015, and we have a 2.5-year-old daughter named Nora. Oh, thank you, Nora. Okay, keep stirring.
Okay.
Keep stirring until it's smooth.
Ooh.
When I got pregnant with Ollie, I was so excited to be pregnant, and I kind of just foolishly assumed that everything would just go swimmingly. The first trimester or 2 of pregnancy went great. I wasn't that sick, I felt good, I was excited to be pregnant, and then I had a mysterious symptom just as I was wrapping up my 2nd trimester where I had severe shoulder pain in my right shoulder. I was having a pretty rare pregnancy complication called HELP syndrome. It falls within the family of preeclampsia. It's on the severe side of that.
Oliver's first year.
Ollie's first year?
Me.
Look. Okay, so look. Remember?
Me.
Oh my goodness. So I had Ollie at 28 weeks. He weighed 2 pounds, half an ounce. It's crazy to look at Ollie now and see that we started out as this teeny tiny baby. Ollie spent 66 days in the NICU, came home at 4 pounds, 10 ounces, about a week before his actual due date, and it will forever be one of the happiest days of our lives. Look how teeny you look there. Look, you're like a little burrito. Can you believe that? Ollie's pregnancy, while the pregnancy itself was fine, the birth experience had been nothing short of traumatic. It, like I said, I felt blindsided by it, and it was so heavy to get through that experience, but we really wanted to be able to give our son a sibling. And so I was able to track down a few doctors who specialized in HELP syndrome. So we had a couple of consults, and I asked all those questions. Is it responsible to get pregnant again? What's the likelihood of this happening again? And so we were kind of given the green light that if we really wanted to grow our family, it was not an irresponsible decision to do that. So we got pregnant. We'd made it out of the first trimester, and we were halfway into the 2nd trimester, right at that viability mark, right around 24 weeks. And I was starting to kind of settle into this idea of it might actually work and everyone might be fine. And at a routine checkup, right at that 24-week mark, the doctor noted that the baby was measuring very small. And I remember going from the ultrasound room into my doctor's office, her asking me to have my husband come, and her explaining that things did not look good. And it was another emergency C-section, and it was as awful or tragic as Ollie's birth had been. It was so much worse than that. You're in the surgical room with the C-section and the baby is born, and it is a somber feeling. There's no cries, there's no congratulations. I remember the doctor coming around the curtain and saying, he's born and he weighs 450 grams. And when they're using grams, you know that that's not a good sign. And I remember my husband doing the math and saying he weighs 15 ounces. At the end of the day, he got an infection, and it's something that happens in NICUs every day, and his teeny tiny body just could not fight off this infection, and he passed. His hands were so perfect. You can literally see the fingernails and everything. It was pretty obvious at that point, after Leo had been born, that pregnancy was going to be out of the question in the future. And we definitely weren't thinking about that when Leo was in the NICU. But shortly after he died, actually at his funeral, Robbie's sister Betsy had approached us and said, you know, if you want to try and get a sibling for Ollie, I would love to carry a baby for you. And honestly, at first it was kind of said where Robbie maybe thought it was a joke. Like we weren't sure if she was actually serious, or that's a really nice thought, but has anyone really thought about what goes into this? I didn't understand the science behind it.
I was not being quiet. Want to pet you?
Because I had known some women who had experienced gestational surrogacy, it didn't seem so strange to me. And so I offered, like, hey, you know, I could carry a baby for you. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I know, it's weird. And my husband looked at me like, what are you talking about? I have had 6 children of my own. I never had any complications in pregnancy, and my deliveries were always very easy. And so I thought, this is a gift I've been given, this chance to carry and deliver babies easily, so let me help.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the hospital where Nora was born. The doctor joked that it was like Cinco de Mayo in there, like it was a party in that delivery room. And because Betsy is so good at birthing babies, it was about one push and Nora came right out into my arms. I just can remember the emotion pouring from my eyes, where they were the happiest tears I'd ever cried.
The joy on Kelsey's face is something I'll never be able to get out of my mind. And watching just that day and those minutes right after Nora was born were unbelievable and completely, I think, changed us. Having gone through the absolute lows of losing a child, which is just something that, you know, as a father, that's terrible. But watching your spouse, your wife, go through it, and there was a lot of self-blame for, she felt like her body had failed her child, and that was very, very difficult. There was a lot of dark days to then the complete polar opposite of her literally delivering her own child from my sister, which is an unbelievable experience.
Oh, ouch. Yeah. And about a year after Nora had been born, I started having this thought in my head. I knew that we had one embryo left. And you know, those egg retrievals and creating those embryos, it's really difficult. It's really stressful, it's financially taxing, it's emotionally taxing, and you work hard to get those embryos. So we spent a lot of time thinking about it and talking with one another about it, and ultimately decided that we wanted to try. The biggest challenge for us is finding a carrier. And once again, Betsy saves the day, and it was actually just a couple days after talking to her, she called me and she said, "You're never gonna believe it. I think I found someone that's interested in being a carrier."
Betsy ran into Brian and I at Chick-fil-A and we were just talking. She's like, "Are you guys done having your own kids?" You know, and we were like, "Oh yeah, we're done." And just out of the blue, she's like, "Do you want to have Kelsey's baby?" I was like, "Yeah, I do. That would be amazing." It felt like it just came out of nowhere, but it was exactly what we were looking for. The first time I talked to Kelsey was on the phone. I remember we had set up this call, and I kind of thought it was just gonna be like this, kind of get to know you kind of thing, and then she'd probably get back to me and whether or not this was gonna work. But on the call, we talked for probably a good hour, and at the end of the call, she's like, "I'm emailing the attorney right now. We'll get this whole process started." I mean, it was just, from then on, it was no questions. We were just doing it. The first medication that I had to start taking is called estradiol, and it's just estrogen injections, and those are just to help thicken up my uterine lining. That's what helps the embryo stick. And I've been doing those twice a week for the last 3 weeks, and then I started the progesterone injection, and I have to do a full 2 mils of those. Good job. Our embryo transfer is tomorrow, and I'm feeling so hopeful. I honestly thought I would be a nervous wreck. I'm trying to keep my emotions in check because there's no guarantees with it. Our fertility doctor told us that there's generally a 65% chance that an embryo will take during an IVF cycle.
Should we hit the road?
Let's go.
I feel nervous. Honestly, I'm starting to feel like it's gonna work, and that scares me because I have felt that way before, where I start to feel hopeful and I start to feel really positive about getting the result we're after and having pregnancy. But at the end of the day, I know that that just isn't always the case. I'm excited it's happening though, and that we will eventually know sooner or later. Sunshiny day. Yes, good omen. Yes. Oh, I can't believe we're here. There's a sense of finality where we have this one embryo. I want to be hopeful. I don't want to be pessimistic. I don't want to assume it's not going to work.
The embryo transfer is a process where we use ultrasound guidance and we'll place an embryo into the uterine cavity of a surrogate or the intended patient if they're planning on carrying the pregnancy.
Yeah.
That's the outer sheath. So you'll see a little white line coming from there. The embryo is too small to see, so what we do is we place bubbles around it that we use as a marker, and we'll inject the bubbles into the uterine cavity to remove the catheter. And typically, we'll check a pregnancy test about 10 days after transfer. That's kind of when we get the earliest idea if the transfer is successful or not. Went perfect.
Good job. Good job, Megan.
I'll get one for you too.
A little dot. Regardless of what happens, I'm gonna have to face some big feelings. And that is scary, it's exciting. And as crazy as it sounds, as much as I want it to work for us, I also want it to work for Megan. I genuinely believe she wants this to happen so badly that in addition to feeling sad for us if it doesn't work, I think I'll feel sad for Megan. So a lot of hoping, but also kind of safeguarding my heart a little bit. Okay, fingers crossed.
It's gonna work.
Okay,
It's gonna work.
all right.
Bye.
Today we are officially 1 week post-transfer, and she took a test first thing this morning, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Kelsey.
Okay, did you take a test? Oh my gosh, is it 2 lines? It's 2 lines! Yay! Oh my gosh.
I'm so happy.
This is the best news!
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Hey, everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people, and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space, now on Apple Podcasts.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hey, everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people, and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space, now on Apple Podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
5, 6, 7, 8, go step, grab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
I was a gang member for over 20 years. In the yard, ripping and running, cutting, and now I changed.
You don't learn anything if you don't make mistakes in dance and in life.
I know after spending 17 years of incarceration how hard it is to dance in prison, and I do commend you guys for sticking through this project.
RTA, it saved my life.
And I'm leaving from here now because I've got to go through Katona and pick up a car.
I'm Catherine Bokens. I'm the founder and executive director of Rehabilitation through the Arts.
My name is Charles Moore, and I have recently been promoted to operations manager for RTA.
RTA has been in 5 maximum and medium security facilities for, well, at least the last 10 years. RTA is about a process. It's about a process of workshops and getting in touch with yourself and being with people and learning new skills. And productions are a wonderful icing on the cake.
Slit. I'll after him again, and I'll beat him.
The goal of our arts program in prison is we use the creative arts to help change our participants' life in some way. We focus on soft skills such as communication, team building. Hopefully they'll improve their life while incarcerated so that they will better adjust and transition once they are released.
Yeah, just send them to me and I'll take care of it.
My personal experience helps me with working for RTA because I have the insight of once being a participant on the inside. I was at Sing Sing from 2000 to 2011 and Woodburn from 2000, and I got released May 31st, 2016. That's like 2 dates you never forget. I never forget my birthday and the day I got released. I grew up in Buffalo. Unfortunately, I grew up without parents. My mother was murdered when I was 3 years old. I don't know who my father is. I began to drink at an early age. I became an alcoholic by the time I was 18. My best friend growing up was my grandmother. That was my buddy. I had found out over the phone that my grandmother had died, and I got arrested and committed my crime maybe 4 months later, so that wasn't a good year. I came to prison at 34. I didn't have a high school diploma, and the first thing I did was get my GED, and I participated in their pre-college program, and I then signed up for every program that they had. In 2004, I joined RTA at Sing Sing Correctional Facility.
I saw pretty soon that Charles was not about acting, but what he was about solving problems. I love people who solve problems. I love people who think around corners. And his mindset was very different from a lot of people I've met inside the walls.
As far as I know, I'm the only one who was incarcerated in my family ever. And I'm the only one with a college education as well, so it kind of balances out.
When he was at Woodburn and had 5 years to do at Woodburn, I said, when you get out, if you want to work with RTA, we'd have a job for you. And that's how he came to us.
I think the most rewarding thing about the work that I do is actually being able to go back into the facilities. I could have been working anywhere, but I think it's to be appreciated by the guys and gals that are still incarcerated. For me, being able to come back in is very rewarding.
All right, we're ready? Let's go to our spots and stay where you are so I can see what we're working with. Hello, okay? Ready, 5, 6, 7. I've been teaching dance in prisons with RTA for 12 years. My favorite thing about teaching here is seeing the growth of the men from the beginning to the end.
Bethany Noel, she just blew them away. Not just with the dance, but that the amount of warm-up and calisthenics you have to do to be a dancer was like laid them out on the floor, which is where they started. So they got to know her as a disciplinarian. She is extremely professional.
Guys, listen to his question. No, first you're in line with your partner, and then you separate into the triangle spacing.
All right, that's unfair because I'm like, where am I going when I'm where I'm supposed to be?
So you might he might be moving forward and you might be staying where you are.
Okay. It means a lot to me to be able to escape from my environment. Here I am and able to participate in something positive.
Go 1.
And it makes it so much easier to not think about or worry about what's gonna happen next, or I'm in a cage or whatever.
Spiral, right stroke, boom. Oh, that was a mess, that was a mess, that was a mess. Let's go from the same part again.
It allows me to express myself. It's allowed me to be more patient with people. In this environment, you can kind of just be closed in and want to just be all on your own. But being in this dance group, it has allowed me to be more relaxed.
Break it in. Now really take your time here, push it out, and then you have all the time here.
I have been dancing since I was 16. I started as a street dancer. People could come to this class and break down the walls. And you don't have to be tense, worried about who's gonna stab you in the back, in the yard. I get to express my inner feelings. So having dance inside a place like this is liberating.
Sometimes I get frustrated because you make the moves look easy, and my body don't move like your body moves. It's like I'm fighting through the whole situation. And as I realize that I'm getting better and better, it's the same thing with life. Like, you gotta fight to live. And the moment you stop fighting, you stop living.
Life is dance. Everything you do in life, you have to press through it. When we mess up on the steps, when we mess up on a grade, when we mess up on anything we do, we messed up to get here. Messed up in society, that's what brought us here. And this dance with RTA Workshop has made me appreciate life in this dungeon. This is not a fun place to be. Like, I became a different person from being in this class.
Go 1, 2, 3, and out, out, sit down.
You know, RTA has always been a special place for myself and everyone who participates in it, because it's just very hard for people who do 10, 15, 20 years of incarceration. You lose hope probably on a daily basis.
I get to feel human again. So I get a chance to be myself without being looked at as stereotypic criminal.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Really, you did it.
We're doing it.
Yes, you're doing it. 5, 6, 7, 8,
RTA!
You know, some people don't even get visits from their family members at home. And you guys become our family. You know, that means a lot.
For me, RTA will be the model for the use of arts in the corrections in the United States. That's my vision.
Yes.
Here we go. In, up, and. When I'm watching them dance my choreography, I just can't help but smile because of their joy. Bounce it out, go.
It was a magical moment, and I was proud as punch to see them do that.
So who would have ever thought that we'd be having this much fun in a prison?
And no drinks.
And no drink, that's what I'm talking about.
My hopes for prison is to provide more humane conditions and to possibly, as much as they can, provide better programming so that when they come home are more prepared to adjust back to society. I want to be able to help as many people as I can. And I would like to, as a way of thanking Catherine, to make sure this place, being RTA, is in a secure place once she retires.
We don't do this for ego, and we don't do this for money, let me tell you that. We do this because what you do is about changing lives.
Let's dig into this, because there are some people who, through this pandemic, everything has kind of been on hold. But for you, yes. I mean, I'm reading about all of these things. I mean, projects, startups. I mean, what has this year been like for you, navigating COVID and creating?
I mean, like so many of us, it put me on pause. For me, it was just about kind of distracting myself and at least being able to control the work that I did. You can't control anything in the outside world. And I think once I accepted that, I was just like, what I can control is the work that I do, my output, the projects that I'm involved in, who I can help. And that's kind of what I made my mandate for the past year. And thankfully, production started ramping back up in some instances. People started to figure out how to shoot things safely, how to gather safely. And once those parameters were met, I was like, okay, I can work.
So let's go back a little bit for people who may not know your story. A lot of us do, but some people may not. And they see you now and they see this glamorous, successful person on their screens. But I know that it hasn't always been that way. And you're very unapologetic about talking about that. I just read this morning that sometime in life you mispronounced Tupac's name. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't even.
Well, it's possible when you're a nerd like me. Yes, that was a real thing.
But tell me this, do you still feel like you're that awkward girl, or do you feel like you've blossomed? Like, where are you now? Where's your headspace?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely still feel that way. I constantly just have to accept that this is what I'm going to be. I was just saying the other day, like, when people meet me, it's equally devastating for me, for them to think that, like, oh, I'm meeting somebody cool. And then to like watch them see like, oh, she doesn't know how to be a person, and like, oh, what is this? It's just, I think I've just come to accept that that's who people are gonna get. But it's been a journey, and I think part of my journey has been that acceptance of just like, yes, I'm this socially uncomfortable, awkward person, and I'm gonna just put it in my work. And it's really comforting to know that there's so many other people out here like that. I think I've just kind of found my community by accepting it too.
When you launched Awkward Black Girl, I was just looking, was it 10 years ago?
It was 10 years ago. We just had our 10th anniversary, February 3rd, which is wild.
Did you ever imagine what it could become? Some people say, yes, I could. Others say, no, this is beyond my wildest dreams. What about for you?
I'm others. I'm definitely like this. I made this just so I could stop talking mess, because I was complaining a lot about like what I wasn't seeing on TV. And, this was creating a character and a world to be like, if I can do it, then I know mainstream TV can do it. And so I was even surprised after the first episode. Then I was like, oh God, I got to write more and catch up. So to see the impact that it's even had 10 years later, to see what it's, birthed, I did try to use it as a way to kind of get into the industry. And so that was something where I was like, it happened, but not like this, no.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go!
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
It's so interesting. I watched your masterclass yesterday, which was phenomenal, because I didn't know what to expect with those. Sometimes I didn't know, is somebody just going to kind of give us a little speech? Or are they really giving us the nuggets, the X's and O's? And you really kind of zoom in, and it made me recognize that this is a craft, and you have been at this for a very long time, even before Awkward Black Girl. I mean, this is something it seems like you've always wanted to do, isn't it?
Definitely. I've always wanted to tell stories and have kind of learned by doing. Thank you for watching the class, by the way.
I'm Issa Rae, and this is my masterclass.
It was such an incredible experience to even do it because, you know, when you're in it, you feel like, well, what am I going to teach? Because I'm still learning myself. But the team there and the producers there really extract like everything that you've been through and everything that you do know. And I was like, okay, I do feel equipped to teach this. And at least, you know, I'm all about sharing all the resources, all the tools that I have so that you can make it. And I didn't have formal training. And so I feel like this class is very friendly for people who are just like, you know what, I want to try it. I want to see what I can do. And I don't know where to start. So shout out to Masterclass for giving me a chance to teach.
You know what you talked about that resonated with me that I didn't even realize is when you talked about the 90s, you know, there were so many sitcoms that highlighted African-American families and not even just families, living single or what have you. And I thought about it when you were talking about it. It was like, there was a time when I wanted to be Rudy Huxtable. I would do my hair like Rudy. Then I wanted to be Denise. Then I wanted to go to Hillman. And now if somebody calls me Claire, I'm like...
Dang! Claire's still a compliment though. But dang.
No, but for me, I'm like,
that is a range.
Yes, my little brown children. Thank you. That's me. And I'm not even kidding. Yeah. Like, that's the truth. But the point is though that you talk about the power of representation, right? And so now we're in a new phase of life, which I guess is why, you know, Insecure speaks to a lot of people. But talk to me about that, because there was a time when those shows went away in the 90s that we kind of had a void. What was that impact for you?
That impact was like, what happened? Why? Like, I know that these shows are possible to exist. And you know, reality television, bless reality television's heart, it's really entertaining, but that ended up kind of being the sole representation for Black people, Black women. And that was kind of disturbing to me because it didn't show how multifaceted we are. I didn't know a lot of people, my friends weren't like the women that were portrayed on television. And again, it's entertainment and that's not a knock on those women, but we were just more than that. And I missed seeing our simple stories on screen and to see that, you know, when I think about white representation, it spans like that's the gamut. Like they get everything, and so I wanted that for us too. And so I think that a lot of people were feeling that way at the time, and I think that's why you even see a renaissance now of so much content, and we have such a long way to go.
Are we in a renaissance? Like sometimes people talk about the Harlem Renaissance or different phases in history. Are we in a content renaissance, you think, with, you know, social media and YouTube? I mean, there's so many places where you can find content.
We're in a content renaissance for sure. I don't know if it's a Black renaissance. It's definitely not a people of color renaissance because we were barely scratching the surface there. But it's coming, it's developing. And I think, you know, with all these different platforms and the way of streamlining it, there's only so much you can continue to offer the same type of show over and over again. So you have to expand the stories. We're hungry.
What happened in between Awkward Black Girl and Insecure? Is there a time in your life that we just don't know about? I mean, was there a hustle there? Or was somebody like, knock, 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 hey, you're great, let's put you on? Like, what was in between there?
Lots of messing up, lots of learning lessons, you know. Between Awkward Black Girl and Insecure, I got offers to turn Awkward Black Girl into a television show. But, you know, we had so much online, or some people just wanted to replace the cast, or they just didn't understand it, or they wanted to franchise it to make it international. In one instance where they were like, we could do Awkward Indian Boy, we could do Awkward Israeli Girl. And I was like, that's missing the point. Then I had an opportunity to work with ABC and mess that up, which I talk about in my masterclass as like, oh, this was my one shot to transition from YouTube to television, and I messed up. I was creating more web series. You know, I got to work with Tracy Edmonds on a show. So there were so many things. I wrote a book. There were so many things that I was doing in between that time just to kind of exercise my creative muscles and stay afloat. But I was deathly afraid that kind of Awkward Black Girl was all I was going to end up having to offer.
How do you know when something is right? It's the right project, because there's certainly no shortage of offers at this point. How do you know in your gut, this is something?
I very much make what I want to see. I participate in what I want to be a part of. That's down to every television and film project that I do. Do I want to see it? Do I want to be in it? Do I think my friends would find it funny? That's every business, that I take part in. So that would be like with the coffee shops. I ran out of coffee shops. I wanted a neighborhood coffee shop and I had to leave. So, invested in Hilltop, and now we have one in Inglewood and View Park and Eagle Rock. And those are my communities. I think about, hair is such a big part of my life. And so, having Sienna Naturals has been an incredible experience because it's about like taking care of my hair, which is something that I've learned. So anything that I take part in is something that I feel that I would need and use and want to see.
Speaking of hair, can we talk about how in Insecure your hair is different? There for a while, like every scene, I was like, "Ooh, what's she gonna do now?" Which has nothing to do, I guess, with the plot, but it's just
not at all,
right? But that's what I'm saying. There are just so many ways that you're speaking to people without even speaking, if that makes any sense.
No, I wish I appreciate, I have to shout out my hairstylist, Felicia Leatherwood, who is really, it's been a hair journey. You talk about 10 years, you look at my hair in Awkward Black Girl, I had just shaved my head because I was tired of it. And with Insecure, we really wanted to just showcase the different things that you can do with natural hair because, when it comes to representation, it's so hard to see 4C hair, 4D, all of these specific textures of hair aren't necessarily seen as beautiful. And so being able to showcase that and also, have a hair product where it's encouraging being able to take care of textured hair just felt like it goes hand in hand. It's always been a passion of mine and it's been a part of my identity.
So wait, the hair product, are the products out now?
The products are out now. Sienna Naturals, they're in Target and Nordstrom. You can go cop them. If you use a happy shampoo and you aren't happy afterwards, if you're not like, oh, my hair, God, what happened? Then complain, but you won't. Okay. So yes, you can get them at Target and Nordstrom. Shout out to the founder, Hannah Jope, who I watched her create those products in her kitchen. It has to be 10 years ago now? No, about 8 years ago now. And to see her develop the products over time with textured hair in mind and make them the best that they can be has been incredible. And now, on set, that's all I use.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse. False narrative. Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse. False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame. This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
So before we start a new chapter, we're closing the chapter after 5 years or 5 seasons on Insecure. I guess there's nothing I could say that would reverse that. I'm like
No.
sad. I'm sad.
No, you're gonna make me sad if you reverse it. What are you talking about?
Because there's so many of us who don't. Well, what are we gonna do? It's like we wait for it. I guess, are you ready to let it go?
I'm definitely ready to let it go. I knew that I wanted to end it after 5 seasons, and I feel like I'm really proud of this season that we're telling now, like we're shooting now. It's so much fun, and it's made me appreciate the show in a different way. But yeah,
So
I'm
Issa
ready.
Lawrence gonna like trot off in the sunset somewhere?
Is that what you want?
I think so. Yes, that's what I would like, Issa.
Well, I guess you just have to watch
That's
season
what
5.
I would like. Do you worry what people? I guess I'm sure you don't. I probably know the answer to this question. I mean, people are invested. I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Like they are. Almost sometimes it's like y'all that they're acting. I mean, but it's right.
Do I worry? Yes, I worry, because I know like it's a story that, you know, is going to come to an end. And even in the room, it's hard. It's hard not to think about that. I think the first 4 seasons, it was easier to be like, okay, whatever, tune the audience out. It's great that they love the show. They have their opinions, but we just want to tell a story. But to end a show is different. So yes, I worry, but like the story at the end of the day is going to be my story. So
do you know, is it done? Like, do you know?
It's done. I mean, yeah, we're shooting it right now, but it's done.
But what's going to be is going to be.
What's good?
I'm like trying to look your big, beautiful brown eyes. I'm like trying to see if I can see any kind of like, Lord.
What's going to be is going to be.
Okay. It's interesting. I read that you and Insecure showrunner, Prentice Penny, met every year over poolside drinks, and you were talking about the upcoming season.
RIP poolside drinks. We did not do that this season. We had to do poolside Zooms. And it was, you know, we made the best of it, but I love that man so much. And he's taught me so much about running a room. Like, even I'm working on a new show now, and the showrunner is also someone who has come out of the Insecure room, and we've learned so much from him and his process. And he's really just inspired kind of I think a legacy of writers. But yes, I think that Insecure will not die because it will produce so many other shows.
That's a good way to put it. Okay, so let me pivot as we come to a close here. For as much as you put yourself out there, you're also very private in many ways. Where is your line? I remember, was it the cover of, I think it was Essence, and people were like, "Ooh, Issa had on a ring," and you know, everybody's, you know, looking.
Yep.
Where's your line?
That is my line. I think I'm always like, I don't want people to know too much like that I don't want to put out there. I think just via characters. I also don't want people, I want people to be able to separate me from the characters, which I made a huge mistake about with Insecure by even naming the character Issa. Because
you think so?
You know, people call me cheater. They like, there's so many things that they just, by way of like, they're just calling the character name, which happens to be me. And, you know, it is a past version of me. So in that way, I would have named her like Isabel or some other name. I should have done better. But yeah, I think, you know, my personal life is just that. It's personal.
So then what has been, I guess, if I were to say the biggest surprise of your career so far, what would it be?
You know, I came into this like wide-eyed, excited about, you know, my heroes, and to know that I have not been disappointed by a hero. I will say I have such a great community of women in this industry who have embraced me, who have, you know, tried to guide me, who have served as blueprints, and the women that I mess with deeply believe in and want the best for our communities. And I love that. So that's been a surprise, because you hear like, don't meet your heroes, people are fake. And I have not had that experience. So that has been a pleasant surprise.
And it seems like you're a giver. I mean, you kind of touched on this already, but you know, there's some people who I almost feel like they hide the wealth of the information. I feel like for you, what's your thought? You know, you just put it out there, and because what's for you is for you, or how do you navigate, especially with other women?
Yeah, I'm definitely like, why am I holding on to this knowledge, these resources whatever. I've never believed in that. It's always been so ugly for people to be like, well, I got it. I don't know. You got to figure it out. And it's so much more fun and rich when, you know, we can all kind of work alongside each other and help each other out. And in many cases, people have done the same for me of just like, hey, I applied to this program. You should apply too. And so, yeah, I think that that's just a natural philosophy for me.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
You have so many projects going on. When you lay your head down on the pillow at night, are you able to put it all on hold, pause? Is it all going?
It's definitely ongoing, but at night, like I fall asleep. I can fall asleep anywhere. I'm a person, I don't know about you, like fall asleep on the plane.
Now, actually.
Exactly.
No problem.
So that's kind of me. I have done this thing. I had to do this thing where I listen to sounds at night.
Okay.
I changed from like listening to the ocean and rain to listening to.
Don't say bugs.
No, ew, no.
Well, I didn't know if you're gonna be like, girl, crickets.
Absolutely not. So I can like dream about them.
Yeah, no, I didn't know podcast was gonna come out. My bad. I interrupted. Podcast. So you're listening to
crickets is a good guess.
Yeah.
Maybe I will try that. Crickets have a smoothie.
So you're listening to words of wisdom.
Yeah, in some cases, or words of destruction. You know what's also really soothing for me, oddly enough, but I think I just saw like an article headline about it. Murder, crime documentaries. I don't know what it is. I know. Okay, I should share that.
But you're not alone. Honestly, look, I host episodes of Dateline on OWN sometimes, and I get more people saying, girl, I saw you on doing Dateline. And I'm like, the spouse did it. Like, y'all keep watching it.
Like, the spouse, that's literally my genre, is the spouse did it. I think that's what's comforting about it. I know how this is going to end.
So you're not alone. All right, so here's a question for you then. How do you recharge? When you have so many projects, you have so much going on, what fills your cup?
What fills my cup is Prosecco or wine.
Fair enough, literally.
So that definitely helps to relax me. I love like listening to a good book, reading a good book, watching television, not necessarily movies. I like to be immersed in a world, and that's kind of where that's where I live. Like I love that. That's how I relax.
So then it's when we see people make it, sometimes you assume that the people, never have to worry again, or they feel like, oh, I've made it. But clearly it seems like you are always evolving.
I am, but it just comes from a desire to want to keep learning and want to see what else I can do to try to do more. So that's just kind of been, I think that's a part of me.
All right, lightning round, last thing. You ready? Rapid fire. Favorite character you've ever written?
Favorite character I've ever written is baby voice Darius in Awkward Black Girl.
Derek?
Darius.
Mantra you live by.
Give to the world your best, and the best will come back to you.
Oh, I like that. Guilty pleasure.
Crime documentaries.
Favorite way to unwind.
I mean, drinking.
Have you ever done lavender infused simple syrup?
No.
Ooh. You just get some fresh lavender and you just boil it and make it a simple syrup and you pour that in the Prosecco.
Ooh, I just learned that for rosemary and didn't think to do it with anything else. So I'm 100% gonna do that.
Lavender.
I love that.
Lavender, you're welcome. The TV character you're most like.
Khadijah from Living Single.
Oh, Khadijah. I haven't heard that in a while. TV character you most want to be like.
Denise from Cosby Show. Yeah, I dress like. Denise was kind of aloof.
Oh,
but
okay.
I want Denise's fashion. Who I want to be like? I would say like Maxine from Living Single.
Maxine. Living Single was
monumental.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I want to live. I didn't know that existed. Like you could live single on your own. Don't let me get started. Okay. Texting or talking?
Texting. No, talking in person. I'm sorry. Talking.
In person. Last, four more. Who inspires you the most?
Debbie Allen.
Oh, yeah. I was able to tell her how much I loved her the other day.
She's incredible.
She's everything. Best hype music?
Lil Scrappy, No Problem.
Haha. Favorite food?
Gumbo and Chebujan.
Oh. Favorite drink?
Prosecco.
Place you
Prosecco with vodka.
Cheers. Place you do your best thinking?
In the shower.
Last three. Word to live by for 2021.
Tomorrow's a better day.
Ooh, amen. Thing you're most looking forward to post-pandemic?
I cannot wait to throw a lit ass house party. Cannot wait.
House parties. Remember those?
Yes.
The last question. What's the one question you never get asked that you wish someone would ask you?
Do you want to get some food on me?
What?
I just wish people would ask that more.
Like, do you want to say the question again?
Do you want to get some food on me?
Oh, like on me.
Like
I'll pay for it.
I mean, the other way works too. I could have said that better. It needed some commas.
Well, because you remember the Sex and the City episode with Samantha and the sushi? I don't know.
Yes. Wasn't that in the movie? When she was
maybe. No, you're right. It was a movie. No, you're right. It was in the movie. And so I was like, is that a scene? Like, are you trying?
I mean, it could be. I'm not mad at that either. If the food is free.
If the food is free. Thank you so much. I hope I talk to you again. Like you were so good.
I hope I see you in person again. And thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you. God bless.
Welcome to Today All Day.
All day?
Today, all day.
All day.
This is a long way of asking. Who's your favorite character you've ever played?
The unicorn. The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day. Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts.
Cold cut, cold cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
What was the first book you remember loving?
Heart Smart Today with simple exercises to strengthen your heart.
Make the most of your beach days.
It's all about the tracksuit now. How good do they look?
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss the bride.
This morning, a story of people helping people.
You've received tons of letters from people who have been inspired.
Let's do the weather out. Okay. All you gotta do is say, it's cold, it's warm, it's raining, it's snowing. That's it.
One of our most favorite franchises ever, Ambush Makeovers.
Okay.
Look at it. It doesn't look so good.
No, it doesn't look good.
Will you judge us in a cook-off?
I will, and you guys will definitely win something.
Today, all day.
All day?
All day.
Welcome to Today All Day.
Say there today all day. Are you looking to ditch some dairy? Well, up next on #Cooking, Samadata remaking 2 classically creamy dishes without the cream. First up, she's going to make a vegan mac and cheese with a velvety sauce. Then for dessert, Sama turns overripe bananas into a luscious dairy-free nice cream.
Can you imagine if they started making like onion-scented candles? That would be such a crazy choice. I'd probably buy one. If you can't eat dairy, then don't worry, I got you. I'm always coming up with new ways to make creative, delicious dips, fillings, and desserts without any of the dairy. I really just want to #make dairy free cool. I'm going to show you how to make 2 of my favorite recipes that are traditionally loaded with lots of cheese and milk. First up, my masala mac and cheese, and next, because we can never forget dessert, my banana cardamom ice cream. One of the first ways that I dabbled into cooking, and maybe it's a bit generous to say cooking, was through boxed mac and cheese. I used to love that mildly suspect bright orange powder. But today, we are making my masala mac and cheese. The flavor profile is a little bit more elevated, but still just as creamy and decadent. Let's get started. The first thing that we're gonna do is dice up my onion. So I wanted to add some cooked onions into the sauce because I think it adds a lot more flavor. We want different levels of flavor and spice, and by cooking these onions down in some olive oil, it's really gonna get us there. I'm gonna peel this guy. I am just dicing my onion right there. Little rough, don't worry, because we are going to blend it later. After it's been cooked, of course. I've just diced my onions, and now I'm just gonna heat up some olive oil on my pan. Okay, my olive oil is shimmering, time to add my onions. I also want to make sure I'm seasoning my onions with some salt and pepper. A little salt, and some freshly ground black pepper. Okay, these onions look delicious, they look nice and golden brown. I'm gonna turn my stove off, set these aside to cool, and get to work on my creamy sauce. Before we get going on my sauce, I have to tell you about cashews. When you soak cashews, they absorb a lot of that water, expanding them and making them a lot easier to blend. Because they're so buttery, when you actually do blend them after they've been soaked, they can create creamy dips, dressings, sauces, desserts, mac and cheese sauce, anything, you name it. But if you skip soaking them, and please don't, you'll get a really crumbly and mealy sauce, and that's just not cute. It's really important that you soak your cashews for at least 24 hours overnight, or you can flash soak them for an hour in hot water. Best part about this mac and cheese is it comes together in this blender. What could be better? Mac and cheese in a blender? I'm on board. We're gonna add our cashews into our blender. Make sure when you're making this recipe that you only use raw cashews. No salt on it, no roasting. Because I want a little bit of a sweet taste and I want that nice orange color for this mac and cheese, I'm using a roasted sweet potato. I'm just gonna peel the skin off with my hands. By the way, if you're worried that I'm handling a hot potato, I'm not. This has been cooled. Don't worry about me, I'm okay. I'm just gonna take about half of this, pop it in my blender. You thought I forgot about my onions? You were wrong. They're going straight in here. Now to get that really delicious, cheesy, savory flavor, I'm using some nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is a really common vegan cheese replacement. Adding this straight in my blender. It adds a bit of umami as well. Now for my spices. This is a masala mac and cheese after all. Got some cumin. Adding a bit of cayenne. Cayenne gives me that heat. I want a little bit of spice in this masala mac. I'm gonna add some turmeric. Turmeric is not only delicious, but it also adds that really gorgeous yellow color that we're chasing for this mac and cheese. And finally, we've got some garlic powder. To help everything blend together, I've got some vegetable broth. Veggie broth is also a bit better than adding something like water because it's got a little bit more flavor in there. Okay, are you ready to blend? Okay, let's do it. And if you need to, feel free to scrape down the sides of the blender to get everything well incorporated. Boom. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt, a little more pepper. Back to blending we go. Okay, I'm really pleased to announce that my mac and cheese sauce is done. Looks amazing. Time to make our pasta. Got my cute little elbows here. My water is boiling. Don't forget, please don't forget to salt your pasta water, okay? I'm gonna do that right now. Pasta water is salted. It's time for our pasta. So I am using elbows here for my little cute pasta shape. I wanted to get that very iconic mac and cheese vibe, but you can totally use whatever short pasta works for you. A shell would be nice here, penne would be nice here. Okay, so I'm just gonna fish for a piece, see how we're doing on doneness. This is the best way to check. Just pinch it with your fingers or just bite into it. Perfect. Our pasta is ready. Time to drain. Okay, don't drop the sama. Don't drop it. One more thing to do is just add our sauce to our pasta. I'm gonna add this into my bowl. I'm really excited about this sauce. Just so you know, this makes a lot of sauce. I like a saucy mac, but you can totally reserve some for later if you want it to be a little less saucy. All right, time to plate. Sorry, I just gasped. I was just taken aback. It's so creamy. All right, little fresh parsley just to top. Little bit of color, little bit of green, little bit of herb, just to bring this out. And then I'm just gonna finish it with some freshly ground black pepper. Have you ever seen a more velvety mac and cheese? I just have to capture this. Here I go. This is gonna be an action shot. Okay, think I got it. Time for me to dig in. I've never been more happy than this moment right now. There's so much flavor going on, and it's so creamy. You would not believe there's no dairy in this. I'm not telling you to throw away your boxed mac and cheese, but I'm definitely telling you to give this a try. You will not regret it. So good. It's me, and I can never have any dinner or lunch without a little bit of dessert. So up next, I've got my banana cardamom ice cream, and you're absolutely gonna love it. I'm gonna go grab the ingredients.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory
Racism in reverse. False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
If you thought that you needed an ice cream maker to make ice cream at home, then think again. My banana cardamom ice cream comes together in a blender and takes a little nice nap in the freezer to create the most luscious vegan ice cream. Let's make it. Listen closely. I hate wasting bananas. It's so sad. Ripe bananas, really spotty bananas, are perfect for so many different types of recipes, and especially this ice cream. They help create that really luscious, creamy texture without any of the dairy. I've got my frozen bananas here. I'm just gonna pop them into my blender. When I freeze bananas, I like to cut them up in little pieces just to make it easier to blend. Really important that you're using ripe frozen bananas because we're not actually gonna add any added sugar to this recipe. All the sweetness is gonna come straight from those bananas. Okay, now, gonna add a little bit of creamy almond butter into my blender. Because the bananas are super sweet, I like adding a nut butter like an almond or even a peanut butter just to balance out that sweetness. I love using cardamom in this ice cream because it's got this really nice piney, fruity undertone. Really delicious. If you don't have it, don't worry, you can totally sub cinnamon instead. Now to help everything come together, I'm just gonna add a little bit of almond milk. Here's the important thing. We're not trying to go for a smoothie here, right? So we're just gonna add a little bit of milk just to get the blender going. Time to blend. Time to scrape down the sides of the blender. I'd rather scrape down the size of the blender a million times to get that really creamy, thick, almost soft serve consistency ice cream, rather than add too much almond milk and be left with a smoothie. Can we just take a moment for my blender, please? It literally does the absolute most for me. It's key when I'm creating all of my delicious dairy-free recipes. Okay, I think we made it. I could eat this now, and you could too, but I do want a little bit of an ice cream scoopable consistency, so that's why I'm transferring it to the freezer. Okay, ice cream is in my container safely. It's ready for the freezer for an hour or more. I know, I'm sorry, but patience is key here. Let's do it. My ice cream is done. A little patience gets us a very long way. I am just gonna cut some strawberries to top my ice cream with, and then I'm gonna enjoy it. No, I did not just sneak a strawberry. I have been waiting for a long time for my dessert, so it is time to scoop my ice cream. I'm very excited. I just gasped yet again. Oh, you thought I was a single scoop girl? Think again. Oh, you thought I was a double scoop girl? Think once more. Time to top with some of my strawberries, just for some color, just for some freshness. I would say this looks too pretty to eat, but I'm for sure gonna eat it. I will take a picture though. Okay, I'm ready to taste. It is crazy that you can make something this creamy with frozen bananas. It's crazy, it's wild. The bananas are so sweet, and we've got that almond butter to balance it out, and then that cardamom brings all the flavors to life. The next time you're craving something super creamy and delicious, but you can't have dairy, look, there's options for you. These are so easy to make. I made so many of my dairy-free recipes in my blender. Easy to whip up, just as decadent, just as creamy and delicious, without the dairy. Hold me back. I am going in again. Oh, it's so good.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Controversy in South Lake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is South Lake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
This is seriously so good. It's like, the sweetness is perfect. It's not too much, it's not too little. It's like my little Goldilocks sweetness. It's so good. Who doesn't love a muffin? As for me, whenever I enter any bakery or cafe, my eyes go directly to the muffins. I am obsessed. Am I the hashtag muffin woman? I don't know, that's a question for another day. But I've always wanted to create my favorite bakery style muffins at home. So after a little testing, I came up with two that are always on rotation for me. First up, a blueberry muffin just sweetened with some honey, and lemon poppy seed muffin tops with a cute lemon cashew glaze. I always bake with chocolate over fruit. That's typically my MO. But I will say, I always make a little exception when it comes to a blueberry muffin. They're just my favorite staple comfort baked good. But I was thinking, why should I go to a bakery when I can make one in my own kitchen? So let's get started. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees and I've lined my little muffin tin with these cute muffin liners. They're so cute. Now I can start on my wet ingredients. First up, got one egg. Just cracked my egg in here. Gonna whisk it really well. I want no separation between the yolk and the whites. This looks nice and uniform. Now, I'm gonna add in my almond butter. I find that the almond butter kind of adds a really nice nuttiness to these muffins. It's so delicious. Gonna mix my egg and my almond butter together really nicely so it's well incorporated. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add my melted and cooled coconut oil. This is gonna serve as a nice butter replacement. Okay, and now I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract. And for my star, I cannot have my honey blueberry muffins without the honey. That would simply be wrong. I like to use local honey for these muffins, especially because it's such an important flavor component. I really wanna use the good stuff. And finally, I want a little touch of acidity just to bring out all of those flavors, so I'm gonna add a little bit of fresh lemon juice. Perfect. Mix the lemon juice in there, it smells so good. Okay, my wet ingredients look perfect. They're well incorporated, they're well mixed, which means it's time for me to move on to my dry ingredients. I'm using almond flour for this recipe, which is honestly my favorite flour to bake with. It's super cakey and dense, so it creates a really nice texture in these muffins. I'm gonna add some baking powder and a little pinch of salt. Just a little, perfect. Now I'm just gonna whisk my dry ingredients together, make sure everything's well incorporated. You know what time it is. It's time to combine our wet and dry ingredients. We want an even muffin batter. It smells so good already. All right, I'm just gonna add a little bit of almond milk to help everything come together a bit better. This is looking great. Now, this is a blueberry muffin. So I've got my gorgeous fresh blueberries here. Just proceed with caution when you're folding your blueberries into the batter. We don't want them to burst. They're precious, they're delicate. Just like, be careful of their feelings, okay? Okay, we look nice and well incorporated here, so it's time for me to add them into my muffin tin. I like using a cookie scoop for cookies, for muffins, because it allows me to just capture even amounts of batter per muffin tin, per cookie, makes it really consistent. And then you get a nice even bake too. Perfect. All right, so all that's left to do is bake them. They're going in the oven 30 to 35 minutes. I'm really excited to see them on the other end of this. Should I open a bakery? Just wondering. They look so cute. I've let them cool for 15 minutes, which means that it's definitely time for me to eat them. Okay, let's take a look. I mean, come on. They look so good. Before I dive into these, okay, I'm gonna have to take a picture. If I'm trying to start my own bakery, I gotta have some documentation of this moment. Pretty iconic stuff, I have to say. I think it's time for me to try them. I think I've waited long enough. Here's a question. Do you bite into your muffin or do you rip a piece off? I'm gonna be dainty today and rip a little piece off. Here I go. Okay, oh, almost lost a blueberry. It's crazy how well the blueberries and the honey go together. It's so good. Speaking of muffins, if you only eat the muffin tops, don't worry, I'm not judging you. In fact, my next recipe is for you because I'm gonna be making my lemon poppy seed muffin tops. I'm gonna go grab the ingredients.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your news feed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
You and I both know that we are kind of only here for the muffin tops, or at least that's my favorite part of the muffin. So for my next recipe, I thought I would whip up a lemon poppy seed muffin top with a lemon cashew glaze to satisfy all of you muffin top lovers out there. And I know you're out there. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and because I love being prepared, I have lined my pan with parchment paper, and now I get to work on my wet ingredients. All right, I'm gonna crack 2 eggs. Now I'm gonna add in my melted and cooled coconut oil. All right, whisking that nicely. I'm using maple syrup and coconut sugar to sweeten these muffin tops. They're my 2 favorite sweeteners. They add a really nice, robust taste, especially when paired together. Adding my maple syrup. Reminds me of pancakes and waffles, but it's kind of better in a muffin. This is a lemon poppy seed muffin top, which means we can't make it without the lemons, right? First, I'm gonna zest some lemons. I love using the lemon zest. It really amplifies that lemon flavor in these muffin tops. Now I'm gonna juice my lemons. Because I love precision, I'm gonna juice my lemons straight into this measuring cup so I know exactly how much I'm using. Okay, we've got our lemon juice, and now we're just gonna add it straight into the rest of our wet ingredients. Mix that up really nicely. And for one more layer of our sweetness, I'm gonna add some coconut sugar. It's super warm, it's rich, it's golden. All right, our dry ingredients, very important, just as important as our wet ingredients. Here, I'm using a combination of almond flour and oat flour. I find that almond flour is pretty dense. The only ingredient is almonds, and with oats, it's a little bit lighter. I'm gonna add some baking powder, a little pinch of salt to bring out all of that sweetness, just a little. I'm gonna whisk this together. Just for a little something extra, I'm gonna add in some rolled oats. I find that this gives a lot of texture. It's really nice to have in these muffin tops. And because I'm really trying to recreate that iconic lemon poppy seed muffin, we have to have our poppy seeds. Okay, this looks really nice. It's time to combine our wet and dry ingredients. You can add this in. Perfect. Just gonna fold everything in super gently. Okay, this looks perfect. Time to use my giant cookie scoop and scoop these onto my pan. I like using these because it allows me to get a really nice uniform muffin top, so they're all even, they're all the same size. You know what's really great about a muffin top? You don't need a muffin tin to make them. Just use your cookie sheet. It's a game changer. These are ready for a little journey in the oven, 350 degrees for about 30 minutes, or until it's nice and golden brown around the edges. Let's go. I've let my muffins cool for about 20 minutes, and you know what they need. You know what they're ready for? A little glaze. I'm gonna just preface this for you. I just wanna tell you that this glaze is kind of like a cross between a glaze and a frosting. So I do tend to call it a glosting. And I know I made that word up, and I'm honestly pretty proud of myself for it. So let's make our glosting. To make this really creamy, delicious glaze slash frosting, aka glosting, we are going to be using some cashews. I've soaked these cashews, and when you soak them, it actually allows them to absorb that liquid and become really nice and tender and plump. This is gonna be the perfect thing to just blitz up in our blender because it's gonna be really luscious and smooth. I drained the water from my soaked cashews, and I'm just gonna pop them in my blender. To complement that gorgeous lemon flavor in our lemon poppy seed muffin tops, I'm going to add some lemon juice into my blender, into my glosting. Now, to sweeten this up, I'm going to add some maple syrup. Time for a little oat milk. Finally, to bring out all of those flavors, balance everything out, a little pinch of salt. Now I'm just going to blend this up. Look at this gorgeous glosting. All right, we're ready to put this glaze on. Let me give you some options because we love options. You can do a little drizzle like this. It's so pretty. It's so thick and creamy. Do a little delicate, unfussy drizzle, or if you want to really commit, you can just gloss that whole thing. Don't be shy. Getting it to really fall over the sides like that. It's really good. One last thing to really finish it off, seal the deal, a little extra poppy seed garnish. Those poppy seeds add some nice nuttiness. Gotta take a picture. I mean, that frosting, it like, who gave the frosting permission to do that right there? It's almost unfair. Now it's my time to eat. My turn to eat. Pretty, right? Okay, I'm ready. You know what's the worst thing in a lemon baked good? Not enough lemon. This is so tart, perfectly sweet. I have no rules for myself. I don't know, I feel like I found a new calling in life, and I think it might be to open a muffin store. We'll have plenty of muffin tops, plenty of regular muffins. I hope this inspired you to make muffins at home. I mean, this is so easy to make. The frosting slash glosting, also very easy. I just hope you never go without a muffin again in your own home.
Good morning, I'm Savannah Guthrie, and this is Today Show Confidential. This week kicked off with coronavirus in the classroom, a town hall answering questions from teachers, parents, and students across the country.
So my question is, when are kids my age going to get vaccinated? Because we want to be safe.
Good question.
That was my first question, too, Emma. How about it, Dr. Walensky?
Great minds think alike, right, Emma? Absolutely, and we are working with urgency to make sure that that vaccine, when it comes to you, is going to be safe, it's going to be effective, it's going to follow the science, and we are really hopeful that you will have that vaccine by the end of the year.
And then Chanel Jones hit the beige carpet and took us to the star-studded Met Gala.
It was my first time. It was so interesting because I would ask the stars, who do you most want to see? Do you want to guess who they most wanted to see? I mean, it was almost unanimous.
Beyonce. J-Lo.
Rihanna. They could not wait. It was so interesting to watch the young stars, especially.
Yeah.
Everybody waited for Rihanna. We were packing up.
Yeah.
Everybody's ready to go. It was after 6 hours, maybe. Yeah. Guess who was probably the last to show up? Rihanna.
Of course.
But she stole the show.
And Broadway is back. We celebrated with a live performance on the Plaza and special night on the Great White Way.
Inside the theater bill that they passed out, The Lion King, they had a little welcome back note for everybody, and I just thought I should read this quickly. Theater is tenacious. It has survived volcanoes, dictators, wars, and plagues. It survives because people need to gather to hear and tell stories, to be seen, and to belong. I think you felt a lot of that last night, symbolically, nationally, not just here in New York.
Wait, and we have a new slogan. Shall we say it? 3, 2, 1. Akuna.
Nutella.
No.
Live from the Sirius XM studios in Rockefeller Center. Live, the stars of our show. It's Libby, Maz, and Pete Breen.
Wow. Hello, you guys. It's so nice to see you in person. Tom Mazzarelli and Pete Breen.
We're back.
We're not on Zoom.
We are not on Zoom. Thank you for sticking with us for a year and a half, America, because that was terrible, and we know it.
If you're there, we just want to say we appreciate it, and we know what you've been sitting through.
It was thrilling to come into the Sirius studio 20 minutes ago. See Holly pick us up in the lobby. Manon was playing the Beastie Boys when we walked in.
We rolled in hot. We had to take our coronavirus test. It was very 2021.
We did. We had our Vax cards sent in. It's quiet around here, but studios are up and running. I should also mention we're now on camera.
Yeah.
God help all of us.
This feels right, you guys.
That's why Pete lost 75 pounds, because he knew this was coming.
85. But that's neither here nor there.
Is it really?
We're going to be on cam now, right?
We are going to be on camera. So today's show is expanding into many different universes beyond the broadcast now.
Platforms.
You guys,
so
as
many
you
platforms.
Know, we are trying to be seen and heard in as many places as possible. Thank you, SiriusXM. But we're going to be streaming this show, Today's Show Confidential, on our streaming channel Today All Day.
And where can you find Today All Day, Libby?
Today.com.
There you go.
You could also even go further and do today.com/allday.
So if anyone is interested in watching us do this ridiculous radio show, actually the video of it, then feel free to log in, or just enjoy the lovely voices that you're hearing right now, right?
There's many different ways in which you can enjoy your TSC. Get your daily dose of TSC.
Now's the right time to mention that you've both been in hair and makeup for a good portion
Well, that
of the
was
morning.
my follow-up. Now that we're on camera, what's the budget for wardrobe, and where is my hair and makeup guy?
Well, we're going to get back to you on that.
Okay.
But you don't need any hair and makeup, Pete. You look just fabulous.
Fantastic.
Here, I'm going to do something really quick here.
We were welcomed by the Beastie Boys, not only by the Beastie Boys, but by cans of Bud Light Seltzer.
Which Pete, if fans of this show know, he was a White Claw guy for a while. And he transitioned in the pandemic to Bud Light Seltzer.
Correct. That's correct. I thoroughly enjoy, and this is not disparaging, I will take this any day of the week, but the Bud Light Seltzer lemonades. Top notch.
That's
No,
good to know.
I know. I didn't say it before. I'm not. This is awesome, and thank you, and you're magical. I'm just saying, if they're not lemonades next week, we're gonna have a problem.
He's very talented. Pete is definitely the most talented of the three of us.
He definitely is.
No doubt.
And well, thank you for offering us those drinks, Holly and Manon. That's very nice of you.
It's like a late night show. It's like a late night show. They kind of get you all jacked up on booze
It
before
is.
they
He
go
gets
on.
up at 2 a.m., so this is basically dinner for him.
This is
So
like
feel free to have a drink. For Maz and I, we both have more to our day.
This is like a nighttime cocktail for me.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, you know what was a surprise? Not only this lovely studio that we walked into, and then how the place is open, but that top of the show with Savannah Guthrie.
I know.
Did not anticipate that happening.
Well, first of all, it's awesome to have a nice cold open. With
Yes.
Zoom, I don't think we did that, or did we? No. So
Nothing happens with Zoom other than people nodding off.
Well, I think our Zoom Today Show Confidentials ended up talking about conference calls and.
My brother would repeatedly say, it's like listening to someone else's meeting.
Yes, because inevitably we just start to kind of get depressed over Zoom and talk about, how did that staff member come along?
Very 2020, 2021.
But you guys, the three of us have been in the office a good amount of time. You're both in the control room pretty much the entire pandemic. Well, Pete, not you entirely, but for the last year.
When did you come back
January.
in January? Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought.
But we've seen a good deal of each other in
Yes,
person,
we have.
which has been great. And we felt like we couldn't replicate Today Show Confidential unless we were live.
Right.
Here we are.
Callers.
855-355-4789. That's the number.
855-355-4789. So Yolanda, when you're out there, give us a
We do.
buzz.
I already have 2 listeners. My brothers are listening. I
Oh,
asked
that's
them to
nice.
tune in,
My
so-
wife
Police
is listening,
brothers
I
from
believe.
upstate New York.
Yeah, we're trying to pump up the audience. Let's get a Mazzarelli member.
I don't know. I don't think any of my family's listening. I got to be honest.
Does Karen know you have a radio show?
I don't think she's listening. She's fully aware. I don't think she's listening.
You're very Irish Catholic, tough love there, Mass.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, no one in my family cares about this
Suck
radio
it up.
show.
Suck it up, buddy.
Same.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm happy to be here, and I think just to be kind of able to talk to you guys without having a Zoom delay
Feels a lot better, doesn't it?
is going to be great. And we
Yes.
want to hear from everybody. There's a year and a half to catch up on.
So, March 2020. Let's start there.
Okay.
No. It's speaking of this coming back to normal. I feel like the show this week. Hoda said to Pete in the morning. She said, "This is the first." She was so excited. She was, "This is the first show that feels super normal. Super normal."
Yeah, she was screaming how
She
normal
said
it
that
was.
Monday morning?
Which felt normal.
What day was it?
No, it was, I believe it was yesterday.
It was.
Because we had events outside.
No, it was the day before. It was Tuesday because it was the day we had Wicked out on the plaza.
Right. We had a Broadway performance.
We had guests in studio.
There was cooking, too, I think, wasn't there?
And it was cooking was remote. But we had guests in studio. We had stars in studio, I think. We had
we had Ben Platt and Juliana Moore.
Yep.
Oh, that's why.
And then it was just one of those days where it was like the content of the show was a little bit like normal. I think there was like just one coronavirus story. But then we had guests here and we had stuff going on the plaza and there were people milling around and it just felt like it was a little bit back to normal. I mean, we say that a lot, but it's baby steps every time. Every time we do more and more of that stuff and we accomplish it without anybody getting sick, which is like, I'm laughing,
Fingers
but
crossed.
but it's true, right? There's a whole safety group here that every time we do one of those, they go back and make sure that we did everything correctly. And so far, knock wood, we've been lucky.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Showing up on the plaza Monday morning was really fun because we had a town hall.
Yeah.
and the plaza was filled with parents, teachers, students, all of our talent. It came together pretty nicely, I thought, Mass.
It did. We had we talked about this with Lexi, who's our vice president of booking. We had asked for the White House. We said we would love to get the Secretary of Education talking about the school year kicking off. And then we got the CDC director, Walensky, and we got them together. And we're like, well, let's make something bigger out of it, right? Let's make it an event. And so it's funny, they were the easiest part of the booking. The harder part was the teachers and the parents and the students, because some of them, it's hard to talk about the issues at hand and go on TV and sort of express them in this environment because everything is so politicized.
I said to Kevin Chattel, if you were a real producer, you would have staged a mask fight in the back that we could have cut to.
Like a school board meeting somewhere?
Exactly. Yeah. I said, if you were really thinking these things through.
Well, it was also difficult because we held it on Monday, which was the first day that New York City schools were back in full swing.
Right.
So, I mean, a lot of the students and teachers weren't able to come, but we had a great crowd. And I always love pulling up in the morning and looking out in the plaza and seeing just activity and, like, lights going up and production happening. And then, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of that. There's a lot more of that and starting to feel right.
Matt, how does that phone call go when you've got talent that have to have a big show Monday and there's an actual big event on Sunday like the U.S. Open?
That's what I was going to say. So I had to call Savannah. Now, mind you, here's some context. We're all watching the U.S. Open, and they cut to a shot of Savannah sitting next to Brad Pitt and Bradley Cooper, along with Jenna.
Biggest stars on the
in the world, literally sitting next to them.
I would argue 3.
And
there you go, Pete.
That is true. Thank you, Pete. I will say I didn't. Did we? We texted Savannah, and I didn't get a response.
I don't think she could look at her phone.
She said she was afraid. She said she was afraid to pick up her phone because it was just red hot with the amount of people texting and messaging her.
So I got a text from Jenna before the event with a list, and she said, "Look who's sitting in our box." Somebody had given her a heads up about who's sitting in the box, and I saw Pitt and Cooper. And then I got the same text from Savannah, and I had to pretend I didn't see the Jenna text. I'm like, oh, wow.
No way.
Really?
First time hearing.
It's all sort of secret information, and then it all comes out. But they were both. So as soon as they got to the event, it was radio silence because they weren't texting while they were near those guys.
Right.
You got to play it cool.
You do.
You know?
And I'm not. Did you get the sense? I didn't really, but did Savannah and Brad exchange any words?
She said that it was. They exchanged pleasantries, and then she had to bring her A game. She said at a certain point she was just like, "All right, screw it. I'm gonna start talking to him." And she started having a little conversation with him, and it was around the fact that he was rooting for one player and she was rooting for the other. And he made a joke. I think we'll be okay. Like I think we'll be okay sitting next to each other. And she said she brought her charming A game, chat game, but she did say that Mike, her husband, was a little bit like, why are you being so weird? And she's like, look where I am. Like, normally she's sort of this boisterous tennis fan. And he's like, what's wrong? What's going on? And she was like, look where I am.
She said she was leaning so hard into Mike that he thought it was very strange.
Yeah.
And then I think they got up to go get a drink or something, and Jenna then took her seat.
Jenna immediately moved into it.
Without saying anything about it either. It was just, she did it. She wasn't like, hey, I'm going to sit here for a while. It was like, oh, you're sitting in my seat now.
But it was fun for us because Al and Deborah were in the shot. Jenna and Savannah, and then Brad Pitt and Bradley Cooper.
Right.
So
yeah, just a normal Sunday
Also, by the way, there were other people, like Gail King was there.
Gail King was there. Spike Lee was there.
Spike Lee was there. It was
Mariska Hargitay.
Mariska Hargitay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Henrik Lundqvist, the former Rangers goalie, which I know you're big. I know you're big. Well, he said they kept showing him behind them, and I know, I kind of knew who he was, but I'm thinking, there's not a ton of people that know Henrik Lundqvist.
He's a big deal, right?
Lundqvist?
He is, but in New York, and also he wore a mask his whole career.
Hockey players,
so he's
not
a big fan.
You never really saw the face for the most part, so it's not this instantly recognizable face, unless you're a hardcore New York Rangers fan.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're going to do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life in primetime and streaming live. It's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
So Savannah goes to the U.S. Open, but also has a major assignment the next morning. That's tricky.
And a major assignment the day before. We had our 9/11 coverage. It was a busy weekend.
Last Saturday
all
morning was a very busy weekend.
Right. So we worked on Saturday and did 5 or 6 hours of special report coverage to be done around between 11 and 12.
Yep.
Then Savannah went to the Open on Sunday.
The women's final.
The women's final. She also went to the men's. She went to the women's final on Saturday, and then on Sunday she went to the men's final. But then I was trying to figure out strategically, knowing that she knew we had the town hall.
Yes.
But we also had a NASA guest because the was it the NASA guest that we had?
Monday?
No, it was Prince Andrew.
Oh, sorry.
Our new legal analyst.
Correct. Sorry, it was the Prince Andrew story. So and NBC hired a new legal analyst, so we needed her to do that segment. And then we also needed her to do. There was a guest in the first half hour.
Yeah. What was that?
I don't remember what it was, but it was one of those ones where
there wasn't a guest in the first half hour. I don't.
There
think.
was another guest.
There was another guest.
Point being, she had two.
She had three. No, she definitely had one in the 7, the 7:30, and the 8.
Okay, got it.
And the town hall. And so I was trying to figure out strategically when best to call her to let her know that she had the additional work above and beyond the fact that she had the Secretary of Education and the head of the CDC.
Was it Dr. Ja?
No, you have to go back.
Sorry, this is really great radio.
It doesn't matter. The point being,
was on Monday?
The point being, I had to tell her that she had like more work than she knew was coming her way that Sunday night after an event where she was sitting next to Bradley Cooper and Brad Pitt, just enjoying herself on Sunday.
The world's biggest stars.
Essentially, it's like a teacher having to call and say, "Oh, by the way, you have extra homework that you didn't know about."
Exactly.
That's what I had to do.
Maz, you're always threading the needle there.
Although every time I call her, she goes, "Oh, what's wrong now?"
It's never. It's
never
checking on you.
That's what Melvin does when you call him. He said, "Where am I headed?
What's going on? What's going on? What's happening?"
Where am I going?
I'm like the Grim Reaper. I call them and something. I go, I'm just gonna start calling you guys and tell you I love you, just and then hang up, just to do that.
Yeah, you should call Hoda and just say, "How are you?
How are you? Where's your head at today?
She'll respond.
Where's your head at today?"
And then
Hoda?
block out an hour and a half.
Yeah, really. Well, maybe she talks to you for an hour and a half, Pete. Maybe you're just a good ear.
Maybe that's
Pete. You're a great listener.
I'm a good listener. Close friend.
Pete takes the first wave of calls in the morning from talent, correct?
He does.
It's hilarious because
is that at 4 a.m.? What time?
Yeah, I talked to Hoda at 5.
Okay.
Right.
And we go over the rundown, and she gives me her spiel, what she did last night. Usually, we talk about our day and everything, and then I hear like Maz's phone ring a little bit later, and I hear him saying like the same things. Reacting to the same stories I had just reacted to with Hoda. I hear Hoda's stories at least 8 times a day is my point.
So wait, so meaning that Hoda calls you and then calls Maz?
I talked to Hoda, and then at some point, she and Maz talk about the show and just whatever, and they catch up. And I'll hear Maz hearing the same stories I do. And then later, Lucas Vasquez, our control room producer who sits near me, will have virtually the same exact conversation I have because he goes over the rundown with Hoda again. He goes into like more detail. I just give her a sort of running order. And it's so I hear that conversation again. And then Savannah comes on set, and I hear, here's what Joel and I did last night. And I'm like, I can tell you exactly what they did. I can tell you what they had on the menu. And I'm not complaining because I love Hoda, and she's got great stories. But by the 9th time, I'm like, I got this. I know. I know.
You can't finish her sentences at the end of the day.
To Hoda's credit, she invests in every conversation.
That's absolutely right.
She does. She wants to catch up with you, and she will download you on what she's up to.
Well, speaking of the crazy week they had, so they had that big day Sunday.
It was,
and then
it was Emma Raducanu, and she had Medvedev. That's who they talked to on that Monday.
Oh, she had the tennis. That's what it was.
Bud Light Seltzer.
Yes, thank you. So, and then this week, not only that, then they had the late night where they went to Broadway.
That's right. Now, that was Wednesday night, right?
That was Tuesday night into Wednesday.
For Wednesday air.
Right.
So they then, and this is something that we've been working on for a long time. We've been dealing with Broadway and the reopening of Broadway.
That was my favorite stuff this week.
And it was fantastic. And the original kernel of it was, will we be there for one of the openings? We had said, can we be there for one of the openings? And it kind of, I think it was Wicked maybe. I think we had to deal with Wicked because they'd come and perform the day before. But then Brittany Schreiber, who's our booker and deals with Broadway and knows that whole community very well, said, I think we can probably do more shows. So then it came to Karen Trossett, our senior producer, who runs the 8 o'clock, and she was like, why don't we just send them basically all everywhere? Like, let's.
Yeah. Such a
she
great
had a
idea.
vision.
She did, and we said, all right, let's divvy them up. Let's do 3 shows. Let's send them out. But that was like, there were probably 25 people involved in that piece in terms of crews and producers and editors, and it took a village.
It made it feel big, and it was also fun to follow on social media. Yeah. They were each paired up. So Carson and Jenna went to the Lion King.
Yep.
Savannah and Hoda, who played the characters in Wicked for Halloween last
Glenda
year.
and
the other one.
Yeah.
It's
like
yes.
a Felba
Esmeralda
or something. A Felba or something like that. Who is
the
it?
other pair.
Elphaba.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
Manon.
you.
Thank you, Manon. And Craig and Al went to Hamilton.
They
with
did.
Lin-Manuel was there.
And a lot of them took their kids. So Savannah took Vale.
Yep.
Craig took his 2, Del and Sibby.
Yep.
And
did Sibby go too?
Yeah.
They all went.
They all went, the whole
I
thing.
can remember that.
Yeah.
And then Carson and I think Jenna also took Mila and Poppy.
Yes, she did.
And,
yeah, she did. Right. And, yep.
And what was the quote that Poppy said to Henry when she was falling asleep?
I don't know.
She said it on the air, something about the evening being spectacular,
magical or something like that. Yeah.
The kids were, I think, very enchanted.
Broadway's a big deal for kids. You remember those shows when you were little.
You do,
like,
right?
Yeah,
it's like you've never seen anything like it.
Savannah made me laugh though because she couldn't stay late. She I think she left at the intermission.
Probably because Vale was with her.
Correct. Vale's, what is Vale?
And,
7?
Yeah.
And she said the best part about it was the way the first act ends. It's on that big defying gravity thing. And she said it seems as if the show's over.
Yes.
So like, she's like, it's great. It's over. And she grabbed Vale, left, and Vale because Vale's super smart. She had all these questions about like how the show.
Yeah.
Like, Vale.
So what do you think
happened? I don't think she told her it wasn't over, but she knew like it can't be over. What happens there?
It's a good parenting like get away with it. There we go. All done. Look at that. Must be over. Let's go. But
and the kid goes no.
Right. 50 questions.
The kid like rolls with it, but then realizes that there's more.
Well, there was a lot of great moments from that night. So let's take a listen.
You excited? I am so excited, pumped. Because you know why? Why? Because Broadway's back! Yes, baby! Woo-hoo!
It has been 552 days since the Great White Way has been all lit up, and audiences, they were amped. Oh my gosh! We're going to Broadway! Everybody go see a show!
Are you excited?
I'm excited.
You're so excited!
Oh, I'm so excited.
I defy gravity.
Over at Wicked, ticket holders were ready to defy gravity.
No wizard that there is or was is ever gonna bring me down.
Wow.
I mean, amazing. That was
Pete.
She had it at the beginning, that last lady. I remember watching the spot originally. She was doing well in the beginning, and then that last note, she kind of, she didn't really nail it the way I feel like
Pete,
she wanted to.
never come out of a clip going, ugh. This is the Today Show.
Right. It's all positivity,
Everything is,
Pete.
No, this is Today Show Confidential. I'm giving you the skinny behind the scenes.
You want some confidential? The joke of it is, I hate Broadway.
I was going to say, Maz, that whole day, as well produced as it was, and the energy behind it was amazing, and all like it was coordinated so good, and it was good TV. You hated every second.
I love the piece and I love what we did. I, as a general rule, do not like musical theater. So this was just like open wound, salt, pour.
You hate Broadway so much so that I texted Pete today saying one of my favorite things about Maz, or this wasn't today, this week, I said, is how much he hates Broadway.
Oh, God.
He goes, it's pure Mazzy.
And it's legit.
Yeah. I just don't dig it. I don't dig on Broadway.
So like the Beastie Boys.
Of course.
What if the Beastie
I'm like
Boys
a
came
white
to
dude from
Broadway?
the
Beastie
suburbs.
Boys musical?
I might go see that.
We're probably only a few years away from a Beastie Boys musical,
It's
and I
true.
would be there for that.
That would be cool.
I'm amazed by their talent. I am audit everything that goes on in terms of the production of it. I just can't sit through like a musical
Can't
for
do it.
2 hours.
What
Can't
about
do
like
it.
a regular play?
No.
No.
Am
just
I
like any
remembering
sort of
correctly
performance.
that your girls would be singing Broadway lyrics between their rooms?
Yeah, they
on
would.
an
They
average
sang.
weeknight?
They loved going to the shows. They loved They were always in the shows. Their shows at school.
Yep.
And it was just like that's sort of the world I live in, and I just not a fan.
You're more
Not
of
a
a Ryder Cup type guy.
Yeah, I'm like like a sports, just like a typical
Sports games.
suburban dad.
Sports
Like
guy,
I watch
yeah.
some sports, whatever. I like the TV part of what we did and what we turned around.
That was neat.
The content.
Correct, but the actual show tunes, not so
Not
much.
your thing.
Well, I love
That's
Broadway,
okay.
so let's even that out here.
There you go. I know you do.
Broadway's great. We really want callers. Has anybody called?
One rule of radio is you never point out that nobody called.
Libby.
You just
No,
keep
Madden
giving that
didn't
number.
say no. She
more
just
important.
didn't
No,
answer.
Libby,
how
we're
do you-
full up, but we just need more.
Oh, sure.
855-355-4789. You got to try to compete with the others that are calling in right now.
There was
855
a time
355-4789.
There was
that
a time
bank
where we couldn't
was
keep
Full
up.
bank.
Full.
Full bank. It's a new era. We're just getting started again. And you know what? We'll give some time. We're going to take a quick break here. When you get back, we'll take your calls. Caller Joe from Charleston, I see you. We'll get to you in a little bit.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
In a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Joe Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
In a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
We are taking callers. We can't keep up with the amount of calls.
Oh my gosh. Let's just put someone on hold. Let them stew for a bit.
Yeah, put them on call. 855-355-4789. This is the first time we've been back at Sirius XM since, let's guess, February 2020?
Yeah, probably February.
For sure.
Maybe beginning of March, but
had
still.
to be, right?
Yeah.
It's really, it feels
Year
good
and a
to be
half.
back.
This is only the second office building I've been in besides 30 Rock, I think.
Oh, that's weird.
In a year and a half.
Wow.
If you
That's
think about
two
it.
more than most people, by the way.
There you go.
I would say we're at least 6 feet apart.
For sure.
We're fine. We're also fully vaxxed and whatever.
Fully vaxxed. And also, we spend so much time with each other that if one of us gets it, the other two are going to get
That's
it.
been your new theory today. You're floating that
I've
around.
said that before.
Pete's also a survivor, so he doesn't really care.
Oh, he is. I forgot. I consistently forget that Pete had COVID.
Yeah, I'm actually, I am more antibody than man at this point.
That was a fun afternoon when Maz and I both knew you had COVID before you did.
I'll never forget it. I will never forget my wife waking me up and saying, "It's Maz on the phone. You have COVID." And I said, "This is how you find out?"
That's how you find out. Pete.
Maz called. Remember, there was a series of months. Every Friday there would be a new COVID case. So Maz would call it 3 or 4 on Friday. I'd be like, "Who has it?"
Every Friday for 6 months.
Every
Because
Friday.
We were having, it was the Monday, Thursday test. We had to, everyone that was there
Friday
had to do
results.
Thursday testing, and the results would come out at about noon on Friday. So by the time it got to us, we would then have to call all the staff members to tell them they had to quarantine.
Oh, yeah, the tree,
Friday.
the phone tree would
or
start.
do like, how close were you to Bill?
Right.
That must have severely interrupted your napping on Fridays.
It totally did. And by the way, the joke of it was in the beginning, it was like, did you have a conversation with them on the phone? You need to quarantine. By the end of it, it was like, did you make out with them? No, you're fine. You're totally fine. If you didn't make out, you're fine. Come on into work.
That was one of those. The rules changed every week.
Yeah.
But
because at a certain point, that whole like the idea of like a close contact changed according to the CDC.
Right.
So originally it was like if I had it and I talked to you and then you talked to Pete,
all of us,
everybody would have to go. And then finally it was just like, all right, whatever. If you weren't like
still confusing,
if you weren't like snuggling with the person, you're fine.
But our control room is still spaced. We
Super
still wear
spaced.
masks. There's plexiglass.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be like that for a while, and I think that's good.
A long while.
Yeah, it's sort of the new normal. It's fine.
One of the challenges, though, which I witnessed Saturday when we were producing the 9/11 show, is Pete had his mask on, and the talent can't hear through the mask.
They can't hear as well.
And they were
outside too. That was
they
a
were
problem.
saying, Pete, you've got to scream. And if you can't hear Pete's voice, you're not going to hear anyone's voice.
And the thing is, you're speaking loudly to begin with, but you're going through the microphone to their earpiece outside, and you've got a mask on. You got no shot.
No shot.
It's difficult when you're out for them to be outside, and by the way, there's an event happening on the ground near them, right? So it's like they're not just outside, but outside in this loud area where there's a bunch of people. It's hard to hear to begin with. With the mask on, near impossible.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you had that problem consistently throughout COVID? Can't hear you, Pete?
Yes,
Okay.
with the mask, for
Definitely.
the most part.
If everything's just muffled.
Yes.
Unlike here, where it's crystal clear in
look
this
at
lovely
this is
studio.
fantastic.
This lovely studio.
Absolutely.
One of the things that we got to do this week that I thought was very super cool, we're playing off the Defying Gravity of Broadway from the show we just had. And
Good transition,
Yeah,
man.
thank you. It was a little, random,
good
but
through
whatever.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, was Al got to go on the 0G flight, which if you saw it, it was super cool. He got to go up, and I think he spent like 20 minutes total.
I think it was 5 trips up.
Yep, 5 trips up and down where he got to spend a ton of time weightless. So let's listen to him, and we talk about how that came about on the other side.
The weirdest moment is as you hit weightlessness, you can feel it. All of a sudden, you're just released.
Our flight did 7 waves.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. He's down, coming out. Uh-oh. I think kryptonite is kicking in.
And while it may look like lighthearted fun,
I got you. Mic drop.
flights like these have helped conduct some serious research and training for decades. From flights with NASA astronauts to the all-civilian crew of Inspiration 4.
Wow. Very cool.
7 times.
He went, and he said total, his weightlessness time total or whatever was like 3 minutes of. But the funny thing is, it was a 5-hour flight. The logistics going into that shoot were ridiculous because it was shot out of D.C. We had crews from L.A. because they were like trained for it or something. I don't even remember what it was. There was a weather issue, so it was one day he couldn't do, so then he had to push it a day. They then have to go out. They can't tell you how long it's going to be because they need clearance from the FDA. So it was a 5-hour shoot. They had to go off Nantucket to shoot to get the space that they needed to go up and down. They couldn't shoot normally through the camera through their lens because everyone would be puking. So they had to bring.
So what did they do?
They brought the cameras with the
monitors,
with like just a little handheld, and they kind of just shot it through there. And they were just talking about how it was. And originally it was just one piece, and then I heard about it, and Al said it was awesome, and then I realized how much work went into it, and I was like, let's make that 2 pieces.
Definitely, and he was very
amortize.
excited about it. He was texting everybody that day with pictures of himself floating. It was a shoot that was 3 weeks before it actually aired, right?
Yeah, it was like a month ago.
Right, so, and I think they showed a lot of networks. Well, a lot of networks got kind of the same.
Yep, Nora did it for CBS.
Yeah.
Somebody else did it for ABC, but we ended up going first because we'd cut a deal with them to go first, which was key. I mean, we aired it first. I don't know when they shot it.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
exclusive interviews,
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
and important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Speaking of Al, we should just mention he's headed back to that area for the next couple of days for a big NFL.
For Baltimore. He's going to be in Baltimore. He's going to shoot there, and then he's going to be next Monday after the it's the Ravens
Chiefs.
Is it Ravens Chiefs?
I think so.
Ravens Chiefs Sunday night game. We're going to have a great surprise where he's going to, I can't give too much away, but it's a local organization involving kids and a school and a giveaway. And
I love these.
Al's super good at those.
Al is so good at those, and we did one on Monday. I gave
I loved that.
A collaboration with the Rams and a youth team in the area, and it was just so sweet and heartfelt, and I love those giveaways.
Well, we're excited because we partnered with NBC Sports and the NFL for our Once in a Lifetime campaign, and it's a once in a lifetime campaign.
Why is that? Why is that, Libby? Why is it once in a lifetime?
Well, I was going to ask you, but I'll tell you. So next year, February 2022 is going to be an unprecedented collision of events. So the Beijing Winter Olympics are taking place early February for the first 2 weeks, roughly, or middle 2 weeks, and the Super Bowl falls in the middle of the Beijing Olympics, and they're both on NBC.
That's a once in a lifetime event? If you
it is.
So
ask
NBC
me.
Sports said this is once in a lifetime, and we're going to build up to that, and we wanted to get on board with that. So we're partnering with the NFL and NBC Sports, and each week we're going to be in the home city of the home game.
Yeah.
And telling great stories from around that area, that city, and having them on the Today Show Monday morning.
Week 1 was Jacob Soboroff in L.A. This is going to be Al in Baltimore. Week 3 is going to be in San Francisco. We're already working on that story. It's funny. You can only do so far ahead. Like we just resource-wise, but also you have to like source the stories and figure them out, which is not the easiest thing to do.
Well, I was talking to Matt Carluccio, our EP of the Weekends, who also handles our NFL stories and partnership, and he said it's also challenging because you want to keep the stories different and interesting.
I know.
And to try to evolve each week into another storyline. So not each week is the same giveaway.
Right.
So we got our work cut out for us on that.
And it's an 18-week season as opposed to a 17-week season last year.
Oh, wow. Well, the nice thing for us is we get a little Today Show love in Sunday Night Football.
We do.
Which is great. So if you're watching Sunday Night Football, you're going to know what you're going to get on the Today Show the next day. That's what we call Symphony.
Oh, what could be better?
It's a very corporate strategy. Very corporate strategy.
Synergy is
Speaking
fantastic.
of the Olympics, we had our first big Olympics meeting about Beijing.
That was fascinating.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. What are we doing?
We can't say any of it right now.
We don't know.
I wasn't there.
Very,
Come on, guys.
It's very much in flux, though. Very much in flux.
There's
right?
nothing like an
Every
Olympics
option
meeting.
you can imagine is possible.
Yeah. But the headline of it is we basically have to make a decision in the next 10 days because the Olympics are 4 months away.
You have to start quarantining now.
Yeah, basically.
Well, and the Olympics is one of those events that goes through a lot of iterations. So something that seems...
It is so soon. I keep forgetting that.
Right. Something that seems
February.
like we could plan it now. You have one plan and then it changes the following week, especially with COVID. So we think we have a rough idea of what we want to do, and we'll just continue to hone it.
We shall see.
You know how everyone... anything really matters is how it affects the person themselves. Will I be in the control room during the Olympics?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
There's zero doubt about that.
It's a very
no matter what happens,
very millennial take on that, Pete.
Whatever happens during the show, wherever the anchors may be, wherever you guys may be, I am going to be in a dark room at 30 Rock.
Yes, you will be.
Okay.
And your
Just making sure.
Your control room demeanor and presence and performance during Japan has led you to this next moment.
Well,
which
you
is
can
the same role
try
in
and
Beijing.
spin it any way you want. I'm actually happy to be there.
We had I felt like our synergy between New York and Japan was really good control room wise this year. It felt really smooth.
I had no issues with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, usually I had been on the other side where
Right.
Pete was, and that's hard, but I felt like for whatever reason, I think the setup
It wasn't
this
as
time,
big.
it wasn't huge. There wasn't like a mass group of people, and they also just weirdly, the anchors were right there.
Yep.
We were all in the same hotel. That was our studio. They had a mini control room set. Like the logistics of it were pretty easy. They were set up pretty well.
Basically, the anchors could roll out of bed and walk to the set.
And you could say, "Hey, we need you on set in 10 minutes," and they'd be there.
Right. And that's the benefit of having your set in the hotel that
Correct.
you're staying, and that's not often the case on a remote.
It's never been.
No.
And also, to your point, Maz, it kind of wasn't great because there wasn't a crowd. We were in a different location. Normally, those Olympic shows are awesome because you get the athletes walking through, you get the crowd in the background. But from a production standpoint, for me, selfishly, it was so easy to talk to them and have them be able to hear and know what was coming up next.
Right, because they weren't listening to Bruno Mars at
There's not music
levels
blaring.
you can't
There's
hear
not
anyone.
someone from, "Hey, no, come over here," and she's taking 900 selfies. So
The biggest thing was Maz. Where's the mascot? Get the mascot
the
out.
mascot was the best.
So my brother and sister-in-law were up this week, and they were still laughing. They were asking me all questions about Phoebe, the
They
mascot.
remember Phoebe the mascot?
Oh, they were laughing. They were like, you mean the Rhodes Scholar the Rhodes Scholar that you put in a giant
I said
headed
to Pete,
mascot?
if I hear
suit?
one more time on the air that our mascot is a Fulbright scholar.
I know. But they couldn't get past it. They were laughing. They were like,
They loved it.
Seriously, is that what you did? I'm like, yeah. I go, and the best part about Phoebe, who did it, she's the most lovely person, and I go, and what I don't think anyone knew was that the head was too heavy for her to lift off. So the minute she had that put on, she was trapped in it. She knew she couldn't lift it off.
Is
So
that why there was always people lowering it on her like she was going into
not strong
Apollo
enough
11?
to lift it off? So imagine how crazy that would be to put
Godspeed,
a giant
Phoebe
head
Wheeler.
on you, and knowing you could not get that thing off.
I love that. Well, the backstory of the mascot came from Caroline Kennedy.
Yeah,
the
of all
former
people.
ambassador to
Yeah, we did the
Japan.
whole.
Of course it
yeah.
did.
So she
Most of today's show's great ideas come from a Kennedy.
They definitely do. So she
Or a Fitzgerald.
she worked with us on some of our Olympic story planning, and she said to Caroline, our producer, "You two are you guys still talking?"
Yeah, sorry, guys.
I don't know what you're
We're
saying.
still riffing.
Yeah, I was like, what are they saying? Caroline Kennedy said to Caroline, "Is it Verenius?"
Sure.
Yes.
I don't say her last name. I always try to get it right.
It sounds like a
Gottlieb.
stop on an Italian train. Where are you getting off? Verenius.
I want to say Gottlieb, but her married name is Verenius.
It's right by
right?
Pompeii. Oh, I love that place.
So Caroline Kennedy and Caroline Verenius had this conversation
Carolines.
and said Japan goes nuts for mascots.
Yeah.
And so we, of course, at the Today Show said, well, let's order our own.
Right.
And several $1,000s later.
Yeah. And by the way, several
mascot showed up.
$1,000s to get it shipped back too.
Yes, I know. That was an expensive prop.
But we're gonna bring it to Beijing.
You're gonna bring it everywhere. I'm surprised it's not out on the plaza all the time.
How do you bring
the
it
crowd
to
would love to
How
see
do you
that
bring
thing.
it to Beijing when it's the Japanese mascot,
Because it's the Today Show mascot.
We're gonna
All right.
It's
yeah.
on
we
a
could,
Jap-
we
it's
could
a-
spark an international
it's
incident
Japanese
here.
inspired.
It is, and it was made and manufactured in Japan, but it doesn't mean we can't cross cultures.
We better talk about this.
Yeah, I don't want to
This feels fraught.
I don't want to get canceled over a
This
mascot.
feels fraught.
Seriously,
My favorite
don't
part
know.
of
start an international incident.
Maz, we need to hone our geopolitics. We're rusty.
We need to get Andrea Mitchell in here. Andrea, we need your help.
NBC News. I said this morning to Pete does a great Andrea Mitchell tracking voice. I said, Andrea's tracking voice is now a parody of your tracking voice of hers.
State Department officials this morning.
This morning was peak Andrea.
My favorite part of the mascot, to go backwards a bit, was how it was one. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
you're
doing
really
it.
going backwards.
Where was how Phoebe was in the costume in Japan, and then she remained in Japan while the mascot suit came over to the U.S. And then on the plaza, it was a different PA, and they had two very different personalities when they were in that costume.
They did.
They did.
We said we
well,
joked.
since we're on camera,
Right. Since we can
this
show
is like
it.
a
There
low
was
shimmy.
There was a little shimmy, and there was like there was also the bashful. No, in the U.S. she did like the bashful. I'm covering my face, like, oh, what is happening? I can't believe this, like this. But in Tokyo, it was more of like a jazz hand shimmy.
We said Tokyo
People,
mascot.
I'm sorry, I had no idea what anyone's talking
Tokyo
about.
mascot was a little more understated. We said it was more
Right.
like a Christian Bale performance, whereas,
Right.
whereas New York was a little bit more carrot top. It was like all over. It was all over the place.
Yeah, it does.
And I think which one you preferred said a lot about your personality.
Exactly.
I was going to go with week 1, but maybe because it was fresh.
No, I like week 2. I like the bashful.
You
sort
did
of,
like the bashful.
Yeah, I did. I loved it. Every time they did this, it was fantastic.
We should remind people the mascot's name is Hinode, and it can't go to Japan. It can't go to Beijing.
Yeah, sure. I think Hinode. I think
By
it'd
the
be
way,
insulting.
we're going to have an anchor revolt if that thing doesn't come with us.
Okay, well then we need to bring it back slowly, like reintroduce Hinode.
Why don't we get
anchors were obsessed with that.
A mascot that represents the Beijing Winter Olympics?
Well, it's Hinode or Hinote, whatever it was, which means sunrise or today in Japanese. I forget what it even means.
There's a lot of money going on.
No one will remember. Hey, that's Hinode.
We can retrofit Hinode.
By the way, they will remember.
Right?
It's in like 2 weeks. The next Olympics is like 2 weeks away.
You could make some adjustments to Hinode. Like,
Well, is Phoebe available? Have you booked her?
I have a conference call with Phoebe in about 45 minutes, so I'm going to ask her.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Maybe we'll see.
All right. Well, can we move on from Hinode?
Yeah. Although it was a good time. It was probably the highlight of the summer, by the way.
It really was. It was actually a delightful surprise.
It was lovely, and the summer was a weird one anyway. Like it was strange. I think everybody expected like the hot vax summer or whatever it was saying, and did not happen. Not even close.
One of the major challenges of the Today Show is remembering what we've done before this very day, because we're constantly looking ahead.
We couldn't remember Monday.
You have to flush it out of your head because you can't keep all that information.
So you say summer, and it's just a total blend of what was that, and we're now looking ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pete and I have this joke. It's already what holiday are we on? Maybe
we're
Labor
on next
Day.
Arbor Day.
Okay, Labor Day.
Arbor Day
2022.
We're basically at Halloween. That's how we go seasonally here. We're like kindergarten, the Today Show. We basically operate seasonally.
In many ways, that's
it's
true.
It's like, okay, get your crayons out. We're going to do leaves. We're going to draw leaves. Like, that's what we do on the Today Show.
Well, because it's not uncommon to have a conference call with Debbie Kosofsky right now about Thanksgiving and what we're doing on the plaza.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, we're already on Christmas, frankly. We're already there. I have a holiday gift guide meeting.
We did Christmas segments today.
Yeah.
We did a 100-day countdown till Christmas today.
We did. And I was very happy about it. There's something about those round numbers that makes my OCD very happy.
How do we live more in the moment, you guys?
I don't know. You can't. Because you're always just on to the next thing. I have, and as you can appreciate this, having done sort of this job, I'll have things during the show where I'll be like, we need to talk about this after the show because something went wrong. Yeah. And then afterwards, the person will call me or text me. Or,
you don't remember.
I have no idea what it was. I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, why are we upset?
I also always remember being very like agitated in the moment for some reason. Like, oh, that sucked. Why, I got to talk to that person about it. And then like 3 hours later, when you finally talk to me, like, it's totally cool, man.
It wasn't a big
it's
deal.
All good.
Never mind.
Just
let's be more careful about that.
I
think I spend 90% of my day saying, let's be more careful about that next time.
That's a good line. Let's be more careful about that. It's nice and patronizing.
Right. It's totally dismissive.
Okay.
Totally dismissive.
What did I say before?
This morning I sent we killed a spot, which we rarely kill spots.
I know, I saw that email.
And it just because it's a lot of work that goes into it, and we killed the spot in the morning. And I sent a note because everyone puts a lot of work into it. People stay up late to do it, and then they wake up in the morning and it doesn't air. But it's always like you send the note and you want to get your message across, but you don't want people knowing they're waking up and the first thing you're going to see is a note from their boss about why their thing wasn't
Didn't
good.
Work.
And I'm always sort of, it's like you just got to
you thread the needle really well though.
Maz has a great touch.
You really do.
It's hard to get that message across and not have people want to just like kill themselves.
You're good at your messaging. I would describe as you usually do a good news, bad news. Here's the good news.
Gotta weave a little good news.
Thanks for your hard work.
Yep.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. Good topic. Bad
behavior.
news is the spot didn't make it because it wasn't good.
Right. It wasn't what we were looking for.
But I think people appreciate that.
Yeah. It wasn't what we were looking for.
It wasn't what we were looking for. One of my favorite Minna Kathuria lines, when Minna, our she was the senior producer on the show. One night we were sitting in the newsroom late. She goes, "I'll tell you where this spot belongs. This spot belongs in the trash."
So I try to avoid. I try to avoid.
What correspondent is she talking to?
I try to avoid that take on it.
I'm not going to tell you.
That's funny.
But it's my favorite when something doesn't make it this spot. I'll tell you where it belongs, in the trash. That doesn't happen all the time. We have a great staff.
We do, but the existence is bizarre that we have in terms of like the micro macro. Like we were coming over here, and you're like, Matt, where you been? I'm like, I'm texting Richard Engel in Kabul right now. Literally.
Ooh, that was a little bit of a humble brag, Matt.
Yeah.
No, but I was like, I didn't mean it to be at all, actually. No, but the point being, like, it's like, oh, we're going over to do some stupid radio show, and he's in a Kabul. Like, we're knuckleheads.
And you might know about tomorrow, right?
Yeah, about tomorrow's show.
Yeah.
But, like, we're like, oh, sorry, Richard, I have to go. I have to do a stupid radio show while you're surrounded by the Taliban.
Literally,
Stupid radio show.
literally surrounded by the
Sorry.
Taliban.
Getting me down.
Lovely radio show.
Yeah, there you
thank
go.
you. Sorry.
This is a little. I don't know if this next thing I'm going to push is micro or macro. Maybe macro.
Okay.
Hoda
medium.
Kotb has a new podcast coming.
She macro.
Macro, big thing, right?
Doesn't get any bigger.
Well, it's micro because it starts Monday.
Okay.
But it's macro because it's a big thing.
And it's the start of hopefully many podcasts for us here at the Today Show.
Sirius XM and Hoda have a long-standing relationship.
Sure do.
She's got a wonderful radio show. Mondays, what are we, 11 now? 1. But is she tapes at 11? She's live. Okay, Holly, sorry about that. For some reason, I always think she's over here at 11. Okay, so Hoda will be live Monday, taking callers. But anyway, Hoda is now expanding her portfolio
Empire.
into podcasts.
As if that were possible, by the way.
Yeah, she hosts the 7, she hosts the 8, she hosts the 10. She also has a digital show
And
quoted
a
by Hoda.
And a radio show.
Radio show and now a podcast.
Several books.
Book. She's also an author and is a prolific social media presence.
She also has more energy than any human being I've ever met.
She and
Maybe
Al.
Al
Yeah,
Roker.
she's tied with Al.
She and Al, it's like an energy off between the two of them. I don't
Right.
know who wins that one.
When Al got back from Japan, he was ready to go. No jet lag.
Yeah.
I don't think Hoda did either. So Hoda's podcast is called Making Space with Hoda Kotb. 2 of them are dropping on Monday. We're going to tease it on the show. But everybody should follow it on SiriusXM where you find your podcast, right, Hall?
That's right.
And it's going to be great. I listened to a cut, and it's very Hoda. She always asks this question in interviews. It's one of her favorite questions, and she brings it out a lot, which is picture your childhood bedroom. What do you see? They're laughing, Holly and Manon.
Sports Illustrated.
That's what
Sports Illustrated athlete posters everywhere.
That was you?
Yeah.
Probably. Were you Jordan?
No, though I'm too young for. I mean, I
Okay.
was too old for that. I was ahead
Yeah.
of it. It was more like Don Mattingly
Oh, yeah,
and
okay.
like the
Donnie Baseball.
early '80s.
Yeah.
Pete, your
mid-'80s
childhood
thing.
bedroom.
I had a Blues Brothers poster up there.
So true.
I had, a little desk with, not a lot else. I had I remember I had a.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, right. Pete grew up in an Amish community.
He's like,
There's nothing else. There was a
not
desk.
much else.
We didn't really put a lot of stuff on the walls.
Okay.
Wow.
This is-
By the way,
this is
and we're
getting-
tapping into something here. We're definitely tapping into something. We get Hoda on him. All of a sudden, he'll be laid out on
Let's
a couch
take
like a
this
therapy session.
offline.
I don't remember, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Well, I'll move on. I'll start talking about my
I
childhood.
think maybe
bedroom.
this Bud Light Seltzer is hitting me the right way.
So, Libby, what's in your childhood?
I had Laura Ashley wallpaper.
Okay.
Wow.
Surprising no one.
No.
Definitely. So I was an early '90s kid. Like that's how I picture my.
No, but you're
childhood
too
bedroom.
old. Like you're
Well,
like
I was
kid,
10,
kid would
11
be.
at that
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
I was born in '78, so
Yeah.
12 in 1990. Janet Jackson poster for sure.
Okay.
Magic Johnson, because
There
I
we go.
like
Wow, really?
It's a
basketball.
random combo of Janet Jackson, Magic Johnson, and Laura
Ashley. Yeah, that is random.
Yeah.
That's Libby.
Yep, it is. By the way, it is right there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other posters. Those are probably the 2 I remember the most because Janet Jackson had that 1990 album. Was it Rhythm Nation? I think it was. That was a big deal. What else?
That was by the way, speaking of, that was maybe my other favorite, not to digress, but the other favorite moment this week was the Rolling Stone top 100,
Oh, my
500
gosh,
songs that we
so
did today with Carson.
This is, this song's got lyrics, I'm black and I'm proud and I'm hyped because I'm amped. Most of my heroes don't appear on no stamp. This is a war cry song. This is an anthem that was commissioned for Public Enemy for the movie, which was, the theme was to fight white supremacy.
There is no one better talking about music on earth than Carson Daly.
Well, he needs a podcast or something.
He had
has
a radio show for a year. He has one too.
Famously.
But he was
really fired up about the lack of. They didn't have the Eagles. They
Right,
didn't
the classics.
Have the Beatles.
They
some
had
of the
them, but
big
they were
ones.
like down low. He interestingly, I don't know if you heard, Pete. Afterwards, he was. I don't know who he's talking to. I think like
know, yeah, I
Zach,
heard
the like one of the stage managers. He was going on even more than what he said on air about like the Sam Cooke song. He's like, and then the third verse in that song is about his kid drowning in a lake, and we didn't even they didn't even mention that. And you're like,
He knows all of that.
He knows so much about that
Yep.
stuff, and I can listen to him talk about it all day long.
Well, somebody pitched it yesterday, and I remember somebody saying this would be perfect for Carson, the Rolling Stone list.
Yeah.
So we have more of Today's Show Confidential.
Oh.
If you do want to talk to us, we'll finally get to some calls. 855
Thanks for standing by.
355 4789. Give us a call.
If we can fit it in.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, everybody. It's time for everyone's favorite quiz show about America's favorite morning show. We've got Maz, we've got Libby. I'm going to ask them questions about this week. What happened? Let's see if they remember. We were talking before about how difficult it is for us to remember anything. Let's see how they do. We loved today's visit to Broadway. Savannah introduced her daughter Vale to Kristen Chenoweth on their way to see Wicked. What song did she sing to Vale?
Oh, jeez.
Defying Gravity.
For good.
I see the buzzer still works.
That's a tough
For
one,
good.
man.
Yeah, you're going to see
It's
that
great.
more.
That didn't die during COVID.
Savannah, Jen, and Al attended the U.S. Open, getting a seat next to the one and only Brad Pitt. But which other two celebrities were sitting in front of Savannah?
Mariska
In
Hargitay.
front. Okay, correct.
And Gail King.
Boom and boom.
Well,
Great answer,
joint reply.
Joint
We just
combined
get a
effort
half,
there.
Libby.
Al Roker got to experience weightlessness on Zero Gravity Flight this week. What did Al warn can make you feel sick when in the air? Make you feel sick? Looking at a phone or screen. You want to keep your eyes averted?
I actually
from
mentioned that earlier, but I didn't
screens.
know. Okay, fair enough.
Filmmaker Ken Burns and Rashida Ali were on the show this week talking about their new documentary series, Muhammad Ali. What is Muhammad Ali's real name?
Cassius Clay.
Cassius Clay. His mama's name is Clay, so I'll call him Clay. The Met Gala returned Monday night after being canceled last year due to the pandemic. Which guest did Chanel say all the celebrities
Rihanna.
wanted to see?
Rihanna. Nice.
There was a tribute to the late great comedian and Saturday Night Live alum Norm Macdonald on the show this week. How many years was Norm on
5?
SNL?
7.
5 is correct. 5 is correct,
Felt like
Libby.
7.
Yeah.
Anthony Porofsky, food and wine expert on the Netflix show Queer Eye, came on the show to tell us about his new cookbook. What is the book titled?
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Let's do dinner. Carson told
That
us
was a
about the
deep cut, by the way. A name of a
2021. I knew it. I knew it.
Mannon goes for it.
Carson told us about the 2021 nominees for the Toy Hall of Fame, introducing us to his American Girl doll from mid-19th century America. What was the name of that American Girl doll?
Of Carson's American Girl doll?
Correct.
He said that on air?
I don't remember that
The
at all.
answer is
He did?
Kristen. Kristen is the answer.
I think he
Follow
was
up.
mocking, and I don't think that was real, by the way, man.
What
You
was
can't put
it? Doesn't matter.
fictitious. You can't put fictitious
That was
things in
definitely
this.
not real.
But he's still. The question is accurate and correct. Follow up. What was the unconventional toy that made it to the top of the list?
Sand.
Sand.
Oh, yeah, sand. He
is
goes,
right.
what is air next?
Air next.
Who on the show this week, this morning, I'll even narrow it down for you, said, quote, We start with the brownie first, and then sometimes we start with the meatloaf.
Oh, I was just talking about this. Oh, Thomas Roberts.
Thomas Roberts, host of Daily Mail TV.
Yes.
Guys, it felt good. The score was 3 Libby, 2 Demes. Good job, Libby.
How do you know?
I made that up too.
Yeah, we also had a half point in there.
We did.
Yeah.
It's all right, Libby.
So
I'll
it was
give you
a
the
tie.
win. I'll give you the win.
You know what? Because of that, Maz won. Maz, you won that round.
Oh, thank you, Pete. That was not a good performance by us, but Manning, you also can't just randomly pick fictitious things that were said on
Disagree.
air. Thank you, Manning.
That was
God, I
a-
missed
Good job,
that. Thank you.
It's like, what Carson comedy routine can we ask for trivia?
It's about what happened on the show, and that happened on the show.
That
Manning,
did.
you did great.
So we'll be back on Today Show Confidential live next week. You better call us.
Please do.
So we can get your calls today.
Hey, happy Monday to all of you watching Today All Day. Welcome to Popstar Plus. This is where we bring you the latest entertainment news and must-see interviews on all the hottest topics in movies, music, TV, and a whole lot more. On today's show, Hoda's revealing conversation with music superstar Sheryl Crow. They had a great chat about motherhood, Sheryl's career. Also coming up later, we get together 60 years after the original Parent Trap movie came out. We'll speak with Haley Mills. But first, we're checking out all the latest Pop Start headlines. Here you go.
Now it's time for the best start of the week. Pop Start. Go.
Got a big one today, so let's get right into it. Actor Vin Diesel starts off Pop Star today. Recently took on a very important role. He walked his goddaughter, Meadow Walker, down the aisle. Meadow, of course, is the daughter of Diesel's late friend and Fast and Furious co-star Paul Walker, who passed away in 2013. This weekend, Meadow shared some photos of her big wedding day, which took place in the Dominican Republic earlier this month. This one showing her and Diesel walking down the aisle together. Isn't that great? The video captured the occasion showing the bride and Diesel and the other members of the wedding party. And then, of course, the groom was there as well after the ceremony. And that was a beautiful event. Another member of the Fast and Furious family was also there, Jordana Brewster, posting this photo of the wedding party. A big congratulations going out to Meadow and her husband from all of us. Next up, Jason Sudeikis, the Ted Lasso star, made his big return to Saturday Night Live. Were you there?
Yes, I went to rehearsal.
Yeah. Didn't take long for him to reprise some of his most beloved roles from the show, including his take on Joe Biden. Sudeikis appearing as 2013 Joe Biden, trying to give the current day President Biden a pep talk.
You seem so happy, so carefree. So, what's the word I'm looking for?
Lucid.
Bingo.
Yeah, partner. Well, where I'm from, we're still VP, Easiest gig in the world. We're like America's wacky neighbor, Just pop in with an ice cream cone, some aviator shade, do some finger guns, shake a few hands, rub a few shoulders.
Oh, well, you can't do that anymore.
What? Which one, rubbing shoulders or shaking hands?
Clearly both.
Oh, come on, man. Loosen up, buddy. Come on. What happened to us, huh? We used to be fine, right? Oh, here, let me get a whiff.
I didn't see any of that
Oh, it was so good.
Right?
Jason was incredible. He was in every single skit. He was just he was incredible. He did all the fan favorites, couple of new ones. It was awesome.
Oh, that's great. Next up, Ryan Gosling. I promise this is an actual headline here. Deadline reporting that Gosling is set to play Ken in the upcoming Barbie movie. That's
Wait,
right.
what?
Heard that. He's playing the Ken doll now.
It'll be a Barbie movie.
Here's a side-by-side of the two megastars, apparently. He was the only actor the producers of the movie wanted for the part, so he's doing it. He's going to be playing against Margot Robbie, who's playing Barbie. There's a perfect call right there. Based, of course, on the iconic doll. Greta Gerwig's directing this.
Oh.
Greta did Little Women. She's at the helm for this new film, which is supposed to be starting to shoot next year and will be the best-looking movie of all time. Stay tuned for more on that. Next up, Harrison Ford, the 79-year-old actor, is currently shooting the next Indiana Jones movie in Italy. But during a break in filming, he lost his credit card in Palermo, the beach town there.
And lucky for him, he's got a pretty recognizable name on that card. So when a German tourist stumbled upon the lost card, police had no trouble tracking down the proper owner.
That's hilarious.
There he is with Italy's finest. Big smiles all around. The credit card, like the lost ark, now has been found. And finally, it is Halloween week, and that means it's time for a
Here we go.
Yeah. We're voting on our favorite horror movies in the Halloween Horror Showdown Brack-O-Lantern.
I don't watch it.
What?
Don't watch
like,
horror movies.
I don't like horror on this.
This is gonna be
Let's
bad.
get to the spooky contenders.
Okay.
They are The Shining versus The Exorcist.
Shining.
Definitely Shining.
That's a real showdown, right from the start there. Then we've got the classic Friday the 13th versus Blair Witch Project, which terrified audiences with its found footage style of filming. Next up, we have Scream. It's a franchise that's still going strong, up against the modern classic
Get Out. Oh, that's
which won the Oscar, by the way, for
yes.
best original screenplay. And finally, it's Michael Myers versus Freddy Krueger. That's a matchup. Halloween and A Nightmare on Elm Street going head to head.
I don't know, man. This is a good one.
Get to it. We want you to, at home, start voting. Go to today.com, make your picks, get involved.
It's going to be good.
Mike Myers was in a horror movie?
I think Love Actually is going to take it.
So it wasn't Austin Powers.
No.
Okay.
No.
You haven't seen Friday the 13th?
No.
Yeah.
I don't watch horror movies.
Yeah.
Aren't you excited about this bracket?
Well, because
You
we
wanted
don't- we
candy?
don't want
Scared of.
They don't watch scary movies.
Candy would have been better.
They don't
I
watch
haven't
scary
seen most of
movies.
those movies. Like The Exorcist.
Get Out.
Did you see the Halloween movie? Like, these are, everybody's going to these right now.
I know.
The new one, Jamie Lee Curtis,
They're
is
like the number one
It's like the number one movie.
I know. It's big. You're
They
right.
don't like to be scared.
America's into this.
You know,
I know.
All right.
over on our sister property, Peacock, they have Peak October.
Okay.
Oh, they
Peak
do?
October.
Okay.
Yeah, all these horror
All the
movies.
horror
All right.
movies.
All right. Well, a little something
Well,
extra.
get voting.
Paycheck.
All right, we've got a few more headlines for you because this is Popstar Plus. You deserve more. So we're going to include Dwayne Johnson. Right, for years now, the actor's been teasing his presidential ambitions, even making it a storyline on his autobiographical sitcom called Young Rock. People seem to be very into the idea of Dwayne Johnson making a real run for the White House. But in a new Vanity Fair interview, Johnson gets candid, saying he may not be the best guy for the job. Johnson saying, quote, "At the end of the day, I don't know the first thing about politics. I care deeply about every American who bleeds red, and that's all of them. There's delusion here. I may have some leadership qualities, but that doesn't necessarily make me a great presidential candidate. That's where I am today." So it seems like he's putting those rumors to the rest, but you never know. Now we move on to Hugh Jackman. As we've covered in Popstar before, Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have had a fun feud going on for what seems like decades at this point. And just when you thought they were calling a truce, Jackman had other plans. In a video posted to his Instagram story, Jackman shows crew members wishing Reynolds a happy birthday before revealing himself getting some hair and makeup done in front of a mirror. And that's where the sincerity stops and the cash comes out.
Happy birthday, Ryan. Here you go. How many people did we get? People say I don't like you, but that was
few.
15 people. 1,
I tried.
2, 3, 4, 15, 5, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, it's for you. Sorry, you wanted just for Ryan. It's for Ryan. It's worth $40. That's for everybody else.
That's a true friend, paying people cash to wish Ryan a happy birthday. And those are your headlines for today. Coming up, a very open and honest conversation as Hoda goes one-on-one with 9-time Grammy winner Sheryl Crow.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
And we are back here on Pop Start Plus. We love this next pairing because it's music superstar Sheryl Crow and our own Hoda. They sat down for Hoda's podcast for a touching talk about Sheryl's journey through motherhood, breast cancer, and where she is now in her life.
Sheryl Crow makes the ultimate roll down your windows and crank up the volume music.
All I wanna do is have some fun.
The 9-time Grammy Award-winning multi-instrumentalist has been selling out arenas and topping the charts for 3 decades with smash hits like Soak Up the Sun, Every Day is a Winding Road, and If It Makes You Happy. And you know what makes me happy? Sheryl Crow on my podcast, baby. Oh my God, I'm dying. I was just thinking back to the infancy of your career, and I know that people look at you and think, well, somehow it was easy for her.
Well, you know, I look back on it and I think, man, I moved from St. Louis where I was a school teacher, and I had a bunch of tapes, and I thought, I'm just gonna go out to LA and see what happens. All I would say is that what seemed like an overnight success, my first album didn't even come out until I was almost 30.
Oh, really?
In the rock and roll world. I can remember meeting Taylor Swift on an airplane, and she was literally a teenager, and I was like old enough to be her mom. So, yeah, and I've been really lucky. I've had now, God, I hate to even say it.
Say it.
I'm getting ready to turn 60. So, I said it.
How did that feel coming off your tongue?
You know those little bumps you get on the side of your tongue that are like a little canker sore or whatever? That's what it feels like. No, I mean, yeah, I don't love it, but you know, I have to say, I'm really at this point in my life, I am happy.
But the soundtrack to Sheryl's life hasn't always been so upbeat. In 2006, she battled breast cancer and navigated a disappointing breakup with Lance Armstrong. But on the other side, at 45, paved her own path to motherhood through adoption. Did you always want kids?
I just never didn't think I would have kids. But you know, there's one thing about a woman and the biological clock. You know, we get blamed a lot for the demises of relationships. And I remember my last relationship crumbling largely because that is what I wanted. I didn't want to be somebody's girlfriend and raise their kids. I didn't want to be a stepmom and not be made a wife and a mom. You know, it's sort of like being in a relationship with someone, but being also the babysitter, but not getting to be the real parent. And yeah, that did crumble that relationship. And when I came out of it, it was my mom, and I came out of it and also had breast cancer and went through that. And it was my mom who said, why don't you just get a surrogate and get some sperm? And I mean, my head is like exploding. Like, what did she just say? Like, just have my own babies? What? But it was that. It was her saying, look, you know what? If you adopt, we are his community or her community.
With her kids now 14 and 11, Sheryl is taking time to reflect. She's currently filming a documentary, one that unearthed a troubling time in life when she says a music executive sexually harassed her.
Well, you know, one of the things I hadn't really talked about was my experience with being sexually harassed on the Michael Jackson tour. It is one of those things where we've come so far, but yet we've barely gotten our feet in the room yet. You know, we've got one foot, and it's you know, it's emotional to talk about.
Do you feel like you're healed from that, Sheryl?
Yeah, I mean, I do, certainly. But, you know, it's creepy when you talk about it. And, you know, part of it is the secrecy of not being able to tell anybody for fear of getting fired. But yeah, I do. I mean, I feel healed from it. I felt like I didn't feel like the person that I was before going into that, because I was very naive. I was raised to believe that if you're a good person and if you work hard, all good things happen.
And these days, good things are happening. Sheryl is back on the road, but more importantly, enjoying what she calls the cool honor and wonder of getting to raise her boys.
Something really changed after the cancer episode and getting my kids. And, you know, if I never got to sing another song, I would still feel the joy that I feel right now. and to be able to say, you know what, I love my life. It's a great place to be.
That is Sheryl Crow. What a great conversation. Another great one for Hoda. Don't forget to subscribe to Making Space wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up on Popstar Plus, our flashback series, we're catching up with Hayley Mills, the original star of Parent Trap, that movie, which turns 60 years old this year.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. It is Popstar Plus. Long before Lindsay Lohan pulled that double duty in a Parent Trap movie, Hayley Mills starred in the original film back in 1961, and with this year marking the whopping 6 decades since its release, we caught up with Mills on what it was like to play sisters, Susan and Sharon, who trade places after meeting up at summer camp.
You give a little, I'll give a little. Let's get together.
You give a little, I'll give a little. Come on, let's get together. That's it!
The idea of playing 2 people, one from California and one from the East Coast, 2 very different girls, but twins, identical twins. I mean, I can't think of anything, that more fun, frankly, than doing that.
Don't you find it peculiar that we both look so much alike and have the same birthday? It's just one of those things.
They were identical twins, but they were different and they sounded different. One had a Boston accent and one had a Californian accent. The Californian accent was a little easier for me because I was surrounded by it. The Boston accent was somewhat elusive, and I think that shows in the film. But I was helped by the fact that the twins keep switching places, and they themselves got their accents muddled up, and I got my accent muddled up as well, so we were all in the same boat. But doing the split screen was really fun. That was fun because I got to play each scene twice from 2 different people's point of view. And I had a wonderful actress to play with. Her name was Susan Henning. And so she was my photographic double. And she's in the film a lot, but it's just the back of her head, which she was really, really good about it, actually. She never complained. And then she went on to become a dancer and dated Elvis Presley, so she got one over me in the end.
Oh, that's a shame. Who is he? Are you kidding? Ricky Nelson? Oh, your boyfriend. I wish he was.
I think I enjoyed both of them equally. I guess, Susan had a more lively lifestyle. I mean, she lived in California. She had a beautiful horse she could jump on, and there was a pool she could jump in. And she had a lot of freedom, whereas Sharon lived in the city and had a very different, much more controlled, disciplined upbringing, living in the house with her mother and her grandparents.
Sharon! Welcome home, darling.
She was always well dressed and expected to, say the right thing and mind her manners. And so when she got to be in California, in Susan's life, it was a revelation for her.
I love dancing. I could just dance all night. Especially with you, Wilfred.
I think the scene in the dance is fun, where the girls decide, before they realize that they are actual twins, when the girls decide to cut the back of Susan's dress out, and they end up having a terrible fight, which was wonderful fun to do. Unfortunately, I forgot that I had to switch and play the other part in a moment.
Your mother just let you go up in the mountains like that?
Oh, I don't have a mother. Just Dad and me. He's wonderful. Besides, I know most everything about trails and...
I didn't enjoy having the back of my dress cut out. I wore about 10 pairs of knickers that day. I loved the scene with Maureen O'Hara when we are having a picnic together.
What was Daddy like?
Well, I don't know how we got around to him.
Because I loved working with her, and I love working with Brian Keith. It's marvelous to work with really, really good actors. They make you better. What did I learn from working with Maureen O'Hara and Brian Keith? Well, I learned how to behave on the set. I learned how to be disciplined. I learned how not to take myself too seriously. They were consummate professionals, both of them, and really, really sweet with me. And, as I say, if you work with really good actors, they make you better.
Let's get together right away. We'll be having twice the fun. And you can always count on me. A Brewster twosome we will be.
What do I remember about Let's Get Together? We had to shoot, first of all, Sharon playing the piano in a black velvet dress and Susan coming on with the guitar, which I didn't play well at all because I couldn't play the guitar. But, I'm rather ashamed to say that actors got away with things in those days that certainly they wouldn't have got away with today. I wouldn't have got away with that guitar playing in a film today.
Hello, Parker. Oh, don't do this to me. I'm already seeing double.
It's me, Mom. Annie.
I think she's excellent. It was a funny experience to watch it because it was so like the one I did, and yet not. But I thought it was really good. Yeah, really good. And the split screen stuff was so good. I think the movie has survived and is loved by a lot of people is because basically it's a great story. The script was very, very good, written by David Swift and directed by David Swift really, really well. All of the actors were wonderful in that film.
Secretly, in their innermost hearts, they must still be in love with each other.
But also I think that it appealed to kids and adults because for children, it was wonderful to see children taking charge of their lives and sorting out the mess that their parents had made. And it came out actually at a time when people started, there was more divorce happening So it struck a chord there. You know, it's one of those films where all the ingredients really came together really well. The story, the script, the cast, the director. It was one of those lucky ones.
Oh, it's so fun. That's one of my favorite movies growing up and a true classic. Up next, you know we love Halloween around here at Today, so we thought we'd gear up for the big day with an incredible costumed moment from our vault. Stay with us.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back. You are watching Popstar Plus, and it's appreciated. Now, Halloween, fast approaching. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable. It's marked one of our favorite times of the year. It's like prom around here at the Today Show Halloween. It's a big deal. We thought we'd feature a special clip from the vault where we pull a moment from the show's archive. So come with us to Halloween 2014, where for a brief time you might recognize who showed up in their best mom jeans and who hung out in Wayne's World.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for mom this Mother's Day? Introducing Mom Jeans, exclusively at JCPenney.
Mom jeans, mom jeans.
Mom jeans fit mom just the way she likes it. She'll love the 9-inch zipper and casual front pleats. Cut generously to fit a mom's body. She'll want to wear them to everything from a soccer game to a night on the town. And with your choice of ankle length, capri length, or shorts, you'll find the perfect jean for even the least active of moms. So this Mother's Day, don't give mom that bottle of perfume. Give her something that says, I'm not a woman anymore, I'm a mom.
Giving up, put on your mom jeans.
Get a free applique mom jeans vest with every purchase this weekend at JCPenney.
Yeah, girl.
Costume for you.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Wayne's World. Here's your host, Wayne Campbell.
Party! Party hardy.
Yeah.
It's time for Try-Day Friday at 10 o'clock here in my basement. Party! Yeah, I'm here, your most excellent host, Wayne Campbell. And with me, as always, is Garth.
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth. What are you doing for Halloween?
You know what I think we should do? I think we should dress up as those two most excellent TV hosts, Kathy Lee and Hody. You know, the ones who drink on TV. Gnarly. But you know, the one in particular, the blonde one, she's hot. I mean, if she were president, her name would be Abraham Lincoln.
Showing. They are magically babylicious, Garth.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
All those ladies are absolutely hilarious. Can't wait for you to see what we have in store this year for Halloween. It's going to be great. And there you have it. That is today's Pop Star Plus. Hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Jenna will be having her open book series. Enjoy that and have a great day. See you soon.
Welcome to Today All Day.
All day?
Today, all day.
All day. This is a long way of asking
yeah,
who's your favorite character you've ever played.
The unicorn. The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day.
Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts.
Cold cut, cold cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
What was the first book you remember loving?
Heart Smart today with simple exercises to strengthen your heart.
Make the most of your beach days.
It's all about the tracksuit now. How good do they look?
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss the bride.
This morning, a story of people helping people.
You've received tons of letters from people who have been inspired.
Let's do the weather out. Okay. All you gotta do is say, it's cold, it's warm, it's raining, it's snowing. That's it.
One of our most favorite franchises ever, Ambush Makeovers.
Okay.
Look at it. It doesn't look so good.
No, it doesn't look good.
Will you judge us in a cook-off?
I will, and you guys will definitely win something.
Today, all day.
All day?
All day.
Welcome to Today All Day.
Hello, friends out there. It's Today All Day. Hope you had a great weekend.
We are kicking off another big week on our show right here on Today in 30. So let's break down the headline, shall we?
We're going to start with new details on that tragedy on the set of Alec Baldwin's latest movie. We'll take a look at the just-released police documents revealing the moments that led up to the shooting.
Plus, did you guys realize it's exactly 2 months until Christmas? You're going to find the holiday deals that are out there right now, plus a big announcement from the Postal Service to make sure your packages get there in plenty of time.
Don't say we didn't warn you on this
exactly.
show. Then our friend and host of Hashtag Cooking, Samadada, is here to share some sweet treats with us.
Love her, and I can't wait for you guys to get a sneak peek at my conversation with Sheryl Crow for this week's Making Space podcast. She opened up about the biggest joys and challenges in her life and the fact that she's turning 60. So, shall we get started, SG?
Let's go.
It's time for Today in 30.
NBC's national correspondent Miguel Almaguer joins us from Santa Fe. Miguel, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. No charges have been filed. No arrests have been made. The sheriff's department here is still trying to determine exactly what happened on a set that should not allow any live ammunition on it. Meantime, we are learning new details about what happened in the minutes before, during, and after the shooting.
This morning, new details into the deadly shooting at this New Mexico movie set involving Alec Baldwin that led to the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. A search warrant released overnight painting a picture of what happened inside this building. After a prop gun was declared safe, Baldwin was sitting on a wooden pew during rehearsal, drawing his weapon and pointing the revolver towards the camera lens. Director Joel Souza, who was wounded, says he was looking over the shoulder of Helena when he heard what sounded like a whip and then loud pop.
We've had 2 people shot on a movie set accidentally.
Witnesses say Helena was shot in the chest, complained about her stomach, couldn't feel her legs, and began to stumble backwards. 2 days after her tragic accidental death, Baldwin seen embracing her husband and young son. Court documents reveal it was Dave Halls, the film's assistant director, who said the prop firearm was a cold gun, indicating there were no live rounds.
We were rehearsing and it went off and I ran out.
NBC News has learned safety concerns, including multiple previous misfires of the same prop gun Baldwin used, led several crew members to walk off the set hours before the accident. The film's production company says it was not made aware of any official complaints. Margaret Gall is a prop maker who says Halls did not maintain a safe working environment on a previous project they worked on together.
He did not have any care whatsoever to those conditions in any of our experiences, and especially not in my experiences.
24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was in charge of weapons on the set in New Mexico. She recently discussed her experience on a podcast.
By all means, I'm still learning. I think loading blanks was like the scariest thing to me because I was like, oh, I don't know anything about it.
Hollywood gathered overnight to mourn a life taken too soon.
We've reached out to Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and Dave Halls for comment, but have not heard back. Meantime, production on the set of Rust has wrapped pending the investigation. Savannah.
All right, Miguel in Santa Fe for us. Thank you. For more on what comes next in the investigation and potential legal fallout, we turn to our legal analyst, Lisa Green. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Savannah.
So right now, as it stands, it looks like this was not an intentional act. It seems to be a tragic accident. So let's start first with criminal liability. Could anyone potentially face criminal charges extending from this situation?
It's possible, and that's exactly what investigators are looking for. But for a prosecutor to bring criminal charges, as you know, there needs to be some level of either intent to harm or a total failure to care about the repercussions of using
like a criminal negligence.
That's exactly right. And so far, certainly for Alec Baldwin, it doesn't seem that that's the case. By all accounts, he was handed something he thought was safe to fire. He fired it. That's a terrible accident, not criminal.
Well, let's talk about the civil case. This is where people, the families of the victims, sue for money damages, a wrongful death lawsuit, that kind of thing. There's certainly civil liability here.
No question, Savannah, and it would be extraordinary not to see the family, even the director, sue for damages. That's the compensation they're owed, and that's where it gets tricky. The chain of custody of that gun, who was responsible for the safety, where was safety, left to the side. And by the way, the production company, Alec Baldwin, a producer, ultimately responsible for safety on the set.
So that's where Alec Baldwin himself may face some liability, potentially as a producer, not the person that fired the shot.
That's exactly right. And that is an investigation that plaintiffs' lawyers would do, and probably also the insurance company. Movie set's not very safe. They're generally insured for accidents. Was this an accident?
Well, those are some of the questions that will be swirling around this case. Lisa, thank you very much.
Now with In Depth today, it is October 25th, so you know what that means? Christmas.
Al Roker's done with his Christmas shopping?
Yes, Christmas 2 months away.
That was
Roker's all
great.
done.
It is. You're done, aren't you?
He was done at Easter. Well, my kids are older, so it's a little easier to shop.
Okay, that explains this year being done. Anyway, to deal with the holiday season crush that everyone's expecting, the U.S. Postal Service is announcing big plans to add new facilities and extra staffing.
And the announcement comes as both consumers and retailers from coast to coast are dealing with those crippling supply chain issues we've been telling you about. NBC's Carrie Sanders joins us from the Port of Miami. Carrie, good morning.
Well, good morning. You see the containers behind me. They're holding things like electronics from Asia, clothes from Central and South America, the ideal, perfect Christmas gifts. But as you just noted, we have seen supply chain issues. Containers like these sitting on ships waiting to be offloaded. As that logistical problem is being worked out this morning, the so-called last mile, getting what's inside these containers to your home, is being ramped up. This morning, the nation's mail system making a major push to deliver packages on time this holiday season. The United States Postal Service announcing plans to add 45 new facilities, 112 new mail sorting machines, and 40,000 additional seasonal workers. All of it in an effort to handle more than 50 million packages a day. That's a 35% increase from last year. It's a big goal for the Postal Service, which has been plagued by delays throughout the pandemic.
The delivery is just mystical as to when things arrive where.
Mail is slow. I mailed a package to California that took about a month to get there.
Amazon, FedEx, and UPS are also hiring thousands of seasonal workers to deal with the expected record holiday rush. But some small business owners are questioning whether it will be enough to offset major supply chain issues. Thea Brown is the owner of a popular toy store in Richmond, Virginia.
I am worried that we might have to disappoint some people, not only this holiday, but and it's not going to magically go away at the first of the year.
From ports to trucks to warehouses, labor shortages, lack of capacity, and congestion are wreaking havoc on a supply chain still recovering from pandemic shutdowns. And over the weekend, disaster when 40 containers fell into the Pacific Ocean when a ship was hit by rough seas off the coast of Washington State. Later, containers on that same cargo ship, including 2 carrying hazardous materials, catching fire on board, according to the Canadian Coast Guard. The incident, just another disruption to the ongoing global jam. Here in the U.S., Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is suggesting container ships reroute to ports in his state to help alleviate the strain on California's ports.
Some ships they're docked for an extra 5 weeks. So it'll take them an extra week to go around the Panama Canal. So you're gaining some efficiency and time there.
Kerry, let's go back to Governor DeSantis' suggestion there that those ships get rerouted. Are there any potential trade-offs to that approach?
Well, there are. It sounds so easy to say to do this, but logistics experts say, sure, you can have the ships head and come to Port of Miami, Port Everglades, and Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, up to Savannah, Georgia, where they have big ports and capacity. For instance, here in Miami, there are no ships in offloading this morning. Last ship left at 3 this morning. So it could be done. But once the containers are here, then you have the problem of getting them on the trucks, on the trains to go to their final destinations. That is all being looked at by logistics experts right now, who also point out that this supply chain issue may have revealed what is a little bit of an Achilles heel, that 40% of all containers that arrive in the United States come into the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. And that's something that maybe we've had too much reliance on when we see the problems that we're currently dealing with.
All right, Kerry Sanders for us there.
Stick around because there is much more coming up on Today in 30.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism. But when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame. This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Back with Once in a Lifetime, our special series with NBC Sports.
This morning, a trip to Paradise, a town in Northern California that was ravaged by wildfire.
3 years later, residents are still working their way back, and NBC's Steve Patterson is there for us. Hey, Steve.
Hey guys, good morning. Nearly 3 years ago, the Camp Fire swept through the town of Paradise, California. 14,000 homes destroyed. But this is a town of survivors, and high school football is woven into the fabric of this community. Here's their once-in-a-lifetime story.
There's a well-known secret to understanding the spirit of a place like Paradise. It's best found under the bright lights of Friday night, where church is a gridiron and the opening sermon is always performed by Johnny Cash.
You can run on for a long time.
For a long time, since the early 1950s, the blessings of hard-knock high school football have been part of the tapestry of Paradise. Under legendary coach Rick Prince, 10 league championships in the past 22 seasons alone. And in 2018, the Bobcats were poised for another run until the morning of November 8th.
Everyone lost their home, 90% of the people I knew.
On that day, the Camp Fire became the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California history, wiping out nearly 14,000 homes in a matter of hours, 85 lives lost. The town was obliterated, but miraculously, after the smoke cleared and the embers cooled, Coach's house was still standing.
Friday morning after the fire, I said,
If our house is there, that's a sign that God wants me to stay here.
Paradise, once nearly 30,000 strong, was down to a population of just over 2,000. Nearly every coach and player homeless. Then, just 4 days after the fire, the San Francisco 49ers hosted the team for their Monday night game. It was the spark they needed.
I had a meeting, we had 12 players at the meeting, and I told them we're having football no matter what.
Without jerseys, helmets, facilities, or even a football to throw around, Coach called for practice.
I wanted to give them some hope, and maybe me a little bit of hope too.
In the fall of 2019, hope returned in full. The first game flooding the stadium with more than 5,000 fans, a revival of town and spirit.
That night especially brought true hope to the town. It brought hope to those who want to come back and rebuild.
I walked out of here after the first home game. People wouldn't leave. People were crying. They were hugging. The Bobcats won. Paradise won.
LA Times sports columnist Bill Plaskey was so inspired by that night, he's been back several times to write a book on the town and team.
Kids told me, we can't build houses, we can't build roads, we've lost everything, but we can play football.
I've been with these guys since I was like 7 years old, so it feels happy.
Through both the fire and the COVID-19 pandemic, even though his family was forced to relocate to San Diego, running back Tyler Harrison chose to stay, bunking with friends and coaches, remaining dedicated to Paradise and the team.
What does this team mean to you? What does this team mean to each other? It's family. Like, we're out here together every single day. This is like the second home to me.
This year, the team is back to dominating, but Paradise itself still has a long way to go. Former Mayor Greg Bolin played, coached, and for the past 20 years has run the chain gang for the Bobcats. He's also using his construction company to help rebuild the town, 70 homes so far.
What keeps you going?
I had a 70-year-old guy, he says, Greg, the fire was the worst thing we've been through. But he said, for the first time in my life, I have a brand new home. Never had that before.
It's gotta feel good.
Yeah.
In 3 years, 1,000 homes have been rebuilt, the spirit of Paradise becoming legend. Sunday, the 49ers hosted the Bobcats once again, presenting them with a symbolic jersey and honoring them during the national anthem. You can see it in the eyes of everyone in town. An aura of resilience in the face of adversity. Here, they call that Paradise Strong. This truly is a field of dreams, guys. Back to you.
Wow.
Steve, great story.
Spectacular.
That was like a film.
Hey guys, it's Almadada, host of Hashtag Cooking for Today All Day. I'm very excited to whip up some delicious treats for the 9 o'clock hour, and I want to make sure you don't forget to tune into my show, Hashtag Cooking, on Today All Day.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It is Make Ahead Monday, and we have some sweet treats to share. Here to help us is one of our favorite people on the planet, author of Dada Eats, Love to Cook It, and host of Hashtag Cooking on our Today All Day streaming channel, our friend, Sama Dada. To say it with the right inflection.
That's a great show, by the way.
Nobody greets me the same anywhere else I go.
There you go. So here's the thing. Let me tell you really quickly about Sama. She was with us here, working with us on the Today Show, and she would always make these sweet, healthy treats, and they were yummy. And now to watch her career bloom and blossom, where she can share her recipes with you, trust me, everything she makes is a home run.
Thank you. Why do you love
We're going to
dates?
start with dates.
Yes, I love dates. You all know I love dates. I snack on them, I cook with them, I bake with them. And this is a really amazing way to use dates. It's the date caramel. Very, very simple.
You go on that side. I'm going to go on this side 'cause I want to try it.
So we're starting with dates, and because we're going to blend them, actually, I want to soften them. So the way to do this is a great way to revive your dates as well if they're getting a little bit dry. Soak them in hot water 5 to 10 minutes, and then you've got like really nice soft dates. Perfect for a little date caramel.
And these are pitted, right?
They are pitted, yes. We are not eating the pits today or any day, honestly. We don't want to do that. I have some almond butter in this blender already.
You love the almond butter.
I love an almond butter, but I also love a peanut butter. I don't discriminate.
So you don't, no shame on your butter game.
No shame in my butter game.
Okay.
No, never. Got some almond butter or peanut butter. Dates, we're gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract, some maple syrup, and listen, dates are very sweet already.
Right.
They've got natural caramel undertones. Not adding too much maple, just a little bit. And then here's my little plot twist, a little cardamom.
Ooh, cardamom.
It's really nice and fruity and piney.
I've never cooked with cardamom.
It's delicious.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
You know what? Go away.
The shade. If you don't have cardamom, you can use cinnamon.
Okay.
Totally fine.
She won't have either one.
I have cinnamon.
Hot water.
Make snickerdoodles.
Yeah, cinnamon followed by toast crunch.
I'm not going to even rest my life.
Blend this up.
So good.
I feel like I'm in the middle of something. Blend this up.
Always.
And then you've got this really luscious,
really good.
gorgeous date caramel. Perfect with apples. Swirl it into oatmeal. It's like a little natural sweetener.
Ooh.
It's really, really good and versatile. I love the date.
What do you like to bake? How do you like to bake the dates?
If you're not eating this with apples, if you're not, putting on your oatmeal, you can make a date caramel stuffed cookie loaf cake, which is what we're making today. Delicious.
Okay.
We've got some eggs in here. Gonna add some melted and cooled coconut oil straight in there. Chanel, you want to help me? You want to add this coconut?
I would love to.
Amazing.
What is that?
All of this?
Yeah, we're gonna add all of it. Coconut sugar. So this is my favorite unrefined sweetener. I kind of toggle between maple syrup and I don't know why I said toggle. That's such an interesting word.
No, it's
toggle
good.
between maple syrup and coconut sugar.
I've never used coconut.
Unrefined sweetener is really delicious. So we're gonna mix that up.
All right,
We've got
let's
some
mix.
almond flour here.
Hey,
as
Sama,
the
if you
base.
wanted this to be vegan, what would you substitute for the eggs?
Totally. I like to use flax eggs, Al, as a vegan egg substitute. It's basically just ground up flaxseed mixed with warm water. It gets kind of gelatinous, and you can use it as a nice binder.
Gelatinous. That's one of my favorite words.
I've used some weird words on here today. Almond flour, some baking agents, some salt. We'll combine
chocolate chips?
Yeah, we'll combine our wet and dry ingredients.
Okay.
There we go. I love this energy for you, Chanel.
Because I'm trying to get to this loaf over here.
So we've got half the loaf in here. We're gonna add our date caramel straight on there. Al, if you want to do that, that's gonna be the nice middle layer. We'll follow it up with the rest of the loaf. So just kind of you have it sandwiched between.
Right.
And then you've got this gorgeous loaf cake. If you can see, it's got that really nice date caramel in the center. It's sort of between a cookie bar, a loaf cake.
How long is it dense?
45 to 55 minutes. Wait until a toothpick inserted in the center.
Oh, it is
clean.
dense.
Oh, that's good.
And it's moist, it's delicious. And look at how few ingredients we use to make it, right? Very, very minimal.
So this is why we always talk about how you're so amazing, because you taste this, it tastes naughty, but you see what she put in it. It's all naughty. It tastes naughty, but yet
it's good for you.
It's so good for you.
Very minimal,
That's right.
real ingredients, and it's like gluten-free if you care about that. If you don't, you'll still like it.
This
I
is
still
really
like it.
good.
That's right.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's not at all gelatinous.
It's not at all gelatinous.
Fantastic.
It's very
good.
moist.
That's good.
This is great.
I'm not afraid of the word.
No.
You prove that you can eat healthy and it can be yummy at the same time.
Thank you, Chanel.
It's hard to do.
She also lives a very healthy lifestyle.
She does, and I want to be like her.
You guys are my original taste testers, so I always have to
Very
thank you
true.
for that. For
Sama,
sure.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Chanel.
For these recipes, you'll want to do this one and more. Head to today.com/cooking. And don't forget to watch the season finale.
I know, can you believe?
Of Hashtag Cooking this morning at 11 a.m. on Today All Day. You can just go to today.com and you'll find it. And if you want to catch up on any older episodes, because she has a lot of recipes, just head to our YouTube channel. So good.
You're going to do another season, aren't you? Absolutely.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
It's Monday, which means a new episode of Hoda's podcast, Making Space, drops today. And we've been so looking forward to this one. Got to sit down with Sheryl Crow.
Oh my gosh, Jen, I had such a great time talking to her. We all know Sheryl Crow is the singer, but on a personal level, Sheryl is pretty private. But she did open up to us about a lot of things, especially about becoming a mom in her 40s and what her own mother said to her that changed her life. Sheryl Crow has built her career at the intersection of rock, pop, and country with 9 Grammys to boot. But this recording icon is so much more than music and lyrics.
If I never got to sing another song, I would still feel the joy that I feel right now. And that's a good place to be.
But like in most of our lives, the path to happiness hasn't always been a straight line. I feel like our lives have these weird parallel paths, and the more I learn about you, the more I feel it.
Oh, I love that.
You were here at the Today Show, downstairs in the dressing room with your boys when they were little. And I went down there and I remembered thinking, watching you with your kids, I want something like that one day.
Yes. And I'm telling you, you don't get the wrong kids. It just doesn't happen that way. And my kids so clearly not only picked me, but picked each other. And man, what a cool honor.
An honor Sheryl and I were gifted with later in life, both by way of adoption. I never spoke out loud the fact that I wanted children because I thought I had missed my window. One day I was walking with a girlfriend down a street, and she said, well, me and you, we didn't want to have kids, so it worked out great. And I said, well, I actually did. I just remember saying it out loud and how weird that was to speak it and then to say it again. And it kind of made it real. Did you always want kids?
I just didn't think I would have kids. I was thinking of it in the context of family. It wasn't like I saw myself being pregnant, having a baby inside of me. It wasn't so much that. It was much more about the wonder of getting to raise a person. I remember my last relationship crumbling largely because that is what I wanted. I didn't want to be somebody's girlfriend and raise their kids. I didn't want to be a stepmom and not be made a wife and a mom. It's sort of like being in a relationship with someone, but being also the babysitter, but not getting to be the real parent. And that did crumble that relationship, and also had breast cancer and went through that. And it was my mom who said, why don't you just get a surrogate and get some sperm? My head is like exploding. Like, what did she just say? Like, just have my own babies? What? And that's kind of what gave me the life raft, to not limit myself to that. Oh, you got to be married. You got to be stable. Then you have kids. My story didn't lay out like that.
You know what's interesting? You said something in the middle of that story that struck me too, because I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the same time my relationship was falling apart. it was kind of strange because I felt like I had two pains going on at the same time, and I couldn't go down the rabbit hole on one. Like, I was so angry at him, and then I had to go in for my test, and they were like, you need a mastectomy. And then I was so mad at the doctors, and why me? And I ate apples and ran in Central Park, and what are you talking about? I was so mad. And I kind of liken it to like having two kids, and one kid's coloring on the wall, and the other kid's spilling flour all over the floor. And I wondered in a weird way, did that help me in some strange way? I couldn't get so depressed on one thing because I had two things to worry about.
Yes. There were a lot of facets to it, but it was a relationship that that I seemed to keep going back to. And I think when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, that was like, oh, wait a minute. I think we have to really look at this, and you have to put yourself first.
Did you ever, and this is probably not healthy, this is me, I never really had a follow-up conversation after it was over. That was the end. And that's how I played it.
Man, I'll tell you what, I am blessed to have a wise mom, but she said, no matter what you think you're gonna get from that conversation, you're never gonna get what you think. And I was not ever going to get the kind of answer I thought I was gonna get.
These days, Sheryl, who, by the way, is just shy of 60, is back on the road. She's enjoying her life just the way it is, but making space for the possibility of more. Do you have room for another love in your life, do you think?
I do.
Do you already have that?
I don't.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I don't. I mean, I don't want to say sadly, and I would love to be loved and to love, but my first loves are my boys, and I'm open. I'll just say that. I'm open.
Don't forget that podcast episode with Sheryl Crow is out today. That was just a little flavor. You want to listen to the whole thing. If you scan the QR code on your screen, it'll take you right to where you can load the podcast and subscribe forever.
Thank you, SG. And tomorrow, one of our favorite bands will be here, Lady A. The country trio are out with a new album, and they'll be treating us to performances all morning long. So have a great day, guys. We'll see you mañana.
Hey, Today All Day, we've got a great show for you to kick off your week, including an all-day exclusive chat you can only see here. But first up, I sat down with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra's newest conductor, who's only the second woman ever in the history of major U.S. orchestras to hold the role. Take a look.
The famed Atlanta Symphony Orchestra recently named a new conductor for its upcoming season, and for the very first time, it will be led by a female music director.
Jenna caught up with the maestro herself for her very first interview since that announcement. Hey, Jenna, morning.
Sure did. Guys, talk about keeping your dreams alive. Natalie Schutzman wanted to hold the baton since she was a little girl, but the world wasn't ready for her. Now at 56, she's done waiting, and instead, she's paving the way. Listen closely and you may hear, along with the piping of the flutes and the thunder of the timpani, history plays a tune of her own. As the first woman to helm Atlanta's 77-year-old symphony orchestra ushers in a new era. Talk to me about what it was like stepping on stage in Atlanta to conduct.
Oh my God. I have no words. It was so moving, and the welcome of the audience, which I met actually yesterday night for the first time, was just amazing.
Natalie Schutzman conducted her debut concert last week after being named music director, making her the only woman currently to lead a major U.S. orchestra and the second ever to hold such a position. For Natalie, conducting is a childhood dream come true.
I very much remember I must have been 7 or 8, and I was in the orchestra pit and I watched the conductor. And when he was taking his baton, I thought it was Mickey Mouse in Fantasia. He was taking this baton and he was doing this, and the sound was coming there. So I was dreaming to have a baton in my hands. And I must tell you, I have been conducting in my heart, in my soul, all through my life.
The daughter of 2 opera singers, Natalie studied music in school, but as the only girl hoping to conduct, she was passed over. That was a job for men.
It was clear to me that at that time, as a woman, forget it, because you will never make it.
Natalie's backup plan was as impressive as her second act. The French native became a celebrated contralto, performing in the world's most prestigious concert halls and opera houses. But she was always studying the maestros in the pit.
My conducting dream was always there, and no young conductor can have a better teaching course than so many years of music making with the greatest people.
What was it like when you first decided to put those voices that said, because you're a woman, you can't do this? What was it like to quiet those voices?
It was a very difficult decision because, when you come as a singer, you come with your long dress. The orchestra, if you sing well, loves you. Everyone loves you. When you jump on the podium, no one loves you first. You have to make it,
First, the orchestras were suspicious of a singer and a woman on the podium.
So I must admit that I spent many nights coming back to my hotel in tears and thinking the next day I stop, because if conducting is this, if I am going to be treated so bad, I will stop. And the next morning I was going up again.
She was hooked. As a solo artist, she had one line of music, but now she could speak through all the voices of the orchestra.
Tell me what it feels like when you're conducting. How could you describe it?
I must say, it's probably the most addictive things on earth. Everything you do with your body language, with your eyes, with what you ask to the musicians, has an impact on the sound they produce. And when you feel 100 people at the edge of your hands, of your body, of your soul, and everyone going in the same direction, it's like, when the birds are flying and you are amazed to see them all flying in the same direction. It's completely impossible to understand how it works. This is the same feeling. It's heaven.
With the baton in hand, Natalie says it's not about gender, it's about the artistry and the music. But she takes pride knowing her success means other women will follow. First on the program this historic night, Verdi's Overture to La Forza del Destino. Translation, The Power of Fate.
I dreamed about it, and now it feels really natural to me. When I'm on the podium, I feel this is where I should be. And this is a very special feeling.
Bravo.
I know, we gave her a standing ovation. Well, we didn't stand, but we clapped for her, and we saw that she also received a standing ovation. She has great plans for the future of the symphony. She wants to engage the next generation of audiences. She wants to bring in little girls so that they can see a woman do the job. She also wants to do all types of music from Baroque to hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
Trendy. Yes, she's really, really
And
cool.
I can see, I love how she loves it.
Yeah.
You can see her passion.
I think she had one teacher who wouldn't even give her the chance.
Crazy. Wow.
And she said that she loves now that she kind of says to him, look what I'm doing.
Check me out now.
Wow. Is there anybody else like her who sang and professionally and conducted?
She's one of the first. She's only the second woman ever in the United States to hold the job.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jenna.
Coming up next on Today Talks, Jill Martin is here co-hosting the third hour. That's just ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're going to do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening. with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back. Today on the third hour, Al, Jill, and Chanel reflect on the life and legacy of Colin Powell.
But we begin with the passing of a towering figure in American history. Colin Powell has died at the age of 84. Powell was a military and political trailblazer. He was the first African American to hold several titles: Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Powell's family announced this morning that he died due to complications from COVID-19 and that he had been fully vaccinated.
They're remembering him as a loving husband, father, grandfather, and a great American. President Bush weighing in this morning, noting that Powell was such a favorite of presidents that he earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom twice. We want to bring in NBC White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell. And Kelly, thanks for joining us. I know you've covered Colin Powell for decades. What are you hearing this morning?
Well, what an extraordinary American life for so many reasons, serving a number of presidents from Reagan to both Bushes. Also having a big imprint on American life as someone greatly admired and as someone who, because of his prominent role, of course, a soldier during Vietnam, a commander of soldiers during the first Gulf War back in the early 90s, and such a prominent figure, a voice people trusted. There were times when he was encouraged to be a candidate himself, something that he rebuffed, but over time used his voice in a political way at times, carefully weighing in on national events, especially as the years went by after his time in government service. Just to step back, let's look at the incredible impact. Having been a soldier, having become a four-star general, being chosen as the first African American to be the leader of the Joint Chiefs, advising presidents on military issues, then being the first African American national security advisor inside the White House, the first African American Secretary of State. Just extraordinary trailblazing there, and such a trusted voice, respected across the political spectrum. He was encouraged to run, chose not to do that himself, and had been, of course, strongly identified with the Republican Party because he had been serving presidents like Reagan and President Bush 41 and Bush 43, also Bill Clinton. But then he did in 1996. He was encouraged to run. That didn't happen. In 2008, at a time when he was a close friend of John McCain, the Republican nominee, he chose to endorse Barack Obama, seeing the sweep of history as the first African-American candidate for the Democratic nomination, who of course became president. And then we saw later how he also endorsed Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and spoke out forcefully against Donald Trump, and did so again after the insurrection of January 6th. His voice was trusted. There was one period that he looked back on with great regret, calling it a blot on his record, and that's when, under the Bush 43 administration and the run-up to the 2003 Iraq War, he presented as Secretary of State information to the United Nations about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. That proved not to be true, and that weighed on Colin Powell. He was someone who continued to work in political life here, and one of the things I'm so struck by this morning on the personal side is what a kind and gentle figure he was. As a reporter covering someone of his stature, we sometimes interact with people who are more generous than others with reporters, and he had a kindness about him that certainly many of us saw in person. And he was devoted to his wife, Alma. They were married nearly 50 years, 3 children, a strong family. He continued to live here in the Washington suburbs.
And that shines through. You know, you mentioned the kindness, and I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of us have never met him personally, but you almost feel like he's, you know, that kind of a figure. And I was sitting there thinking, Kelly, as you were just talking, there aren't a lot of people who come through our lifetimes where they're just as beloved in the community as they are on a global scale. And I was just thinking about, I remember, you know, growing growing up, seeing his book, you know, my grandfather's desk and my grandmother's desk, and it was almost like I didn't even know him, but he was like, you know, in the family, right?
I went to military school, and I got to meet him through my former military commander, and it was just on so many different levels, from a standpoint he was a kid from New York City, grew up, and to reach those levels, really just we can't say enough, Kelly, and you really helped us put that into perspective and I think we're still going to find out more about what he means to the American history and the American public as time goes on.
Admired by so many, Al, really. A role model and admired. And in what are now such caustic political times, he had a gentler figure in his persona, built on the strength of hard work. Nothing came easily to Colin Powell. He earned all of those breakthrough moments and achievements on his own.
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you so much for putting that in perspective for us.
It's a question we've all thought about. What would you do if you had to leave your home at a moment's notice? Would you and your family be ready?
When I got ready to cover Hurricane Ida, I realized, you know, I need a go bag. I used to have one. I hadn't been out on around, and decided you really need one of these things.
Yeah, you talk about it, but do you really do it? That's the thing. So here to show us what we need to do is NBC News senior correspondent Dr. John Torres. Now you see him, we've talked COVID, we've talked so many things with him, but a lot of people don't realize that you train NATO Special Forces to prepare for disasters. You've written this book. It's called Dr. Disaster's Guide to Surviving Everything. So you certainly know of what you speak.
I do, and it's important, especially right now. I think that's one thing the pandemic's taught us is you need to be ready. And I've had to evacuate for a wildfire where literally we had to get in the car and go. And thank goodness we had stuff in the car ready to go to take us, because I was out of my house for 5 days, had nothing to do, nothing to use other than what I carried with me.
And then once you pack it, you have it, right? So it's one of those things where today we all should just take stock. Do we have these at home? And if we don't, do it and then just put it away.
Exactly. It's very important.
So what do you start off with?
And this is the main thing. So there's two different types. This is the go bag. You grab and go. This is, I got to get out of my house now. A fire's coming. There's some reason I have to leave. And it has some important things. Number one, you want a flashlight. You want to be able to see where you're going in the middle of the night. That's extremely important. And then you want to have your first aid kit. You know, obviously I'm a doctor. First aid kit's very important. It's going to be dependent. If you have kids, it's going to be different than if you have adults, than if you have older adults. You want to make sure, my favorite thing, duct tape. It works for everything. You know that it works for everything. Solar charger, cell phones, you want to charge them in case you can get a hold of people. And then your medication's extremely important. Documents, we'll talk about that. A blanket that you can use in case you get cold. These are, it looks like aluminum foil, but it keeps you very warm.
It's like what the runners use.
Exactly. And something people always forget to talk about, toothbrushes. Because you want to make sure your tooth hygiene, even in the middle of all that, and then some cold hard cash always helps too.
Because the ATM, when I was in New Orleans, all the ATMs were down.
And people don't
there
realize
was no
that.
Power,
and it might
nobody had cash.
And it might be that you have $20, it might be that you have $200, it might be you have $2,000, whatever you have small denominations, because nobody's going to be able to break 100 for you. And then I'm a big advocate of garbage bags, plastic bags, just because you can use them for everything. It can be a poncho, it can be a garbage bag, it can be storage for water, it can be anything.
What about documents? You know, because a lot of times we think about the physical things, but identity and identification.
And that's a huge thing. And that's what we found out when we were out and about, because we had to do different things. You want to have all your documents. You know, passport, IDs, home liens,
originals
home
or
mortgages.
copies?
Copies are the best thing to have. You want your originals stored somewhere. If you can store them online, even better, because then you can access them from anywhere. So that's extremely important.
And also the lamination for photos. Like people want to grab those special photos.
And now, of course, your COVID card for your vaccination. You want to make sure you have that as well. Simple backpack.
Okay, the solar part got me, and the duct tape. Never thought about that. Just honest.
What's the most unique use for duct tape that people wouldn't know?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can use it to actually put wounds together if you need to before you can get to the emergency room. If it's a big gaping wound, you can use that real quickly to put it together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go bag.
And this is a different go bag. So that's taking it and going. This is having it in your car and ready to go in your car, which is what we did in our wildfire. And then we take off. So you have a few more things because you don't have to necessarily carry it with you. Maps, extremely important. You want to make sure that you know where you're going.
Physical maps.
Yes, maps. Yeah, ponchos. Again, you can use the garbage bag, but ponchos work great. Some way of lighting a fire, because you might need to go out there. You might not be able to get in a hotel. You might need to rough it for a bit. An emergency radio. I can't overemphasize emergency radio.
It's one of those hand crank models.
It is hand crank. It's solar. It has the NOAA, the National Association of Atmosphere, whatever it stands for.
National
Those guys. And then a headlamp and a hat. Especially in the middle of winter, you want a hat. The headlamp's important because you want to be able to free your hands. You can just put it around your head.
Power goes out.
And then you can work all sorts of different things. And then something people often forget about. You want to put food in here as well. Have food that you can carry. Sometimes it's canned food. It's hard to open canned food with a can opener.
No use without
exactly.
Dr. John, what about water? Now, how much water should we have per person.
Right, and what they say is a gallon a day per person, and so you want to make sure you have enough water for everybody. And that doesn't mean carrying 2 weeks worth of water. Just a couple days worth of water can really help out, and so it's important.
I went on an RV trip and I didn't have an EpiPen. And I didn't know, is there something you should actually look forward, like if you have allergies, things that you should have in your bag?
And that's important. You want 30 days worth of your medications.
30 days?
Yeah, 30 days. You can go to your doctor and see if you can get an extra prescription. You can talk to the pharmacist about having them on hand. But once you leave, you don't know when you're going to be able to get back to something, especially like you mentioned, you were in a hurricane.
Yeah, what would you actually use, say, a hurricane, earthquake, something like that?
So a wildfire N95 masks. You want to use those because of all the particulates around there. With the earthquake, you want to make sure, again, a crank radio. It can help you understand where you are and what's going on around you. The headlamp's important because it can get you to, in the middle of the night when there's no power out there. Those are important things. But overall, it's basically having the stuff you need in order to survive, you and your family, even just for a few days. And that's the important thing to do.
Right. And also, when you were in breaking news, didn't you used to have a to-go bag?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you had it and everything. You have to have it to go.
Absolutely.
And Al, one of the things, you mentioned my book.
Yes.
I want to give you a copy of my book here.
Oh, thank you
It
very
can help
much.
you with everything. It can't help you if you get in trouble at home, though.
Oh,
You're on your own there, all
that's
right?
a whole different book. That's a shorter pamphlet. It's just an attorney's number.
That's right. It just says, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Dr. John, thank you so much
bet.
for coming in. It's one of those things we talk about it, but you actually have to do it.
Coming up on Hoda and Jenna, tips for a haunted Halloween home makeover. That's coming up next.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts. Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Welcome back. Today on Hoda and Jenna, we've got fun decor ideas to get you in the spooky spirit. Take a look. Okay, if you haven't had the time to decorate your home, I'm feeling a little loopy. Decorate your house yet for Halloween. You better get going. Halloween decorations, they're selling out fast.
But don't you worry, we got a monster list of fun decor ideas that you can still get in time for those trick-or-treaters. And here to show us how to do it all is Monica Mangan. She's the lifestyle expert for East Coast Creative.
Okay, and you guess what? You can shop along, right? So all you need to do is scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen.
Monica, we're ready. We're ready.
We're going to start with spiders, and the easiest way to decorate, check this out. We have a spotlight. This is literally no fuss decor. You put this on your house, it's decorated, done and done. So if you want the easiest way, and it's a really great idea to stick it in a planter, the further it is from the house, the larger your spiders are going to get.
Huge spiders.
Huge spiders. And then this cover here, what I love about it is it's $7 and it's plastic. So it can get wet, but it really, it transforms your door instantly. Add a few spiders to it. And I actually think we might have a guest coming too today.
Come in. Who is it? Oh, what is that?
So you can become part of your decor. How fun is this?
That's kind of cool.
Isn't that great?
Outfit.
You'll
How do
also,
the glasses feel?
You'll never lose your kids either. So if you want them to wear this trick-or-treating, you're never going to lose track of them.
You could do a fun
Or you could just have them wear it every day.
Yes, isn't that so fun?
Thank
so
you.
we have that link
Super
too.
cute.
All right, let's
We're sticking with spiders. Yes. So we have everything set up here. Spiders are just the creepiest. And look how simple these are. You're going to have pumpkins, but take one of these push pins and you just pop them right in.
Oh my gosh.
And you can tell they're actually like heavy duty metal, so they'll last year after year, but they take your pumpkins instantly creepy, right? You could do them into gourds, things like that. And then for this DIY, these are spider egg sacs, which is just disgusting even to say, right?
Yeah.
So what I have here are just some tights that I got at the dollar store, really inexpensive. I'm gonna fill it all the way with spider web.
Okay.
It's like putting tights on, right? It's gonna be good.
Okay.
All right, spread a little bit of on the outside, and then spider rings. They just stick right in. It looks so creepy. And then to hang it, you're just going to use a light clip like you would use for Christmas lights around the season. Obviously, we need to tie it all up. But you can see back there just how creepy they look if they're hanging from your front porch.
Inside.
Aren't they so gross?
Really
in a good way.
Yeah.
All right, less creepy over here.
This is going to be like our kids area.
Right?
Happy. And Hoda likes unicorns.
Yes, I do.
Yes. This unicorn skeleton, I mean, skeletons come in so many shapes and sizes now, and we even used a little craft paint on the rib cage to add a little more rainbow there. The tip for making Halloween less creepy, more fun is embrace all the colors. Embrace rainbows. Embrace regular party supplies. You talked about a lot of it not being available right now. Just think of birthday balloons. Just think of garlands. This could all work under a covered porch. And I got these tombstones, you know, kind of creepy. Spray paint them bright colors, totally looks completely different.
And I love the pumpkins.
Right?
How did you make this guy?
So this is a kit, and it comes with everything you need. It's super kid friendly because it's all peel and stick, and you just pop it in. Really, really fun. And I think it came with like 12 or 10 of them in one kit, so you can make a bunch of them.
Super fun. Cute. Okay, let's move over to this under the sea theme.
Yes. So what we're getting you to think of is you can work with just the building block spider skeletons, but it can look totally different. So end of season, you have lots of pool noodles left. We use that to be our seaweed, right? We couldn't, you know, if you can't get a lot of Halloween things, think in different departments. So little gold coins, make a treasure box, dress your skeletons up as pirates. And look, she's a mermaid. That is a mermaid skeleton.
Brilliant. How did you get
right?
these? Where did you get
so
these?
These are from Oriental Trading Company, and I checked. They're in stock.
They're in stock. Okay.
They're in stock. Okay. Little like jellyfish. So really thinking out
jellyfish skeletons.
Yes,
That's
and
so
he even
crazy.
lights up too. And how cute is he with the little bandana? So you can just create a different theme. It doesn't always have to be just your traditional Halloween. And I think the kids are going to love it so much more.
Good. I like that it's in
so
stock.
creative, and I like the backdrop. That's also from there.
Yeah. So it's just those are just party birthday balloons, blue, and we put them in a fishnet.
You're so clever.
Right?
You're so
Super
smart.
simple, and none of it was hard.
Thank you so much. And to check out this Halloween decor, head to today.com/shop. Today Talks continues after the break. We have an exclusive chat you can only see here on Today All Day.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. free wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Today Talks and our exclusive content you can only see here on Today All Day. We just had a black cat cross our path. See, there it goes. Crossing our path. But can I tell you, I want to just pet. I love cats.
You love
Where'd it go?
cats.
I love
Does
cats.
anything creep you out? Like, do you really get superstitious? Like,
No.
you know, the whole step
Do
on a
you?
crack, step under a ladder.
Step on a crack and break your mother's back. No, I think that's an old wives' tale. But I will say, and I love cats, and I love we always had black cats.
Yeah.
One named Cowboy, one and one named Willard, named after Willard Scott. But on Halloween, we would have to keep our cats inside because people were weird about and mean to black cats.
Okay, but let me ask you this: if you saw a ladder,
would I walk under it?
Would you? And you had an option of going around it. Would you go? I don't know. I'm asking you if you care.
That's like if you saw a mirror, would you try to break it?
No, that's different. If I'm walking and there's people in the way, would I go out of my way to go around?
Yes.
You would.
Would you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want any extra bad stuff coming. Is it a full? Did you see the full moon? Was it a full moon?
What?
This morning, yeah, I think it was full. It was really
You
big
mean
and
last
beautiful.
night?
Well,
okay,
I see it
so
in the morning.
yesterday we were driving home, and all of a sudden, and I just love that, like, this is how you detect that something beautiful is happening. Henry goes, why are all these people taking pictures? We look out, and I just look at him like, oh, maybe it's an Instagram influencer moment in the wild, you know? Henry's like, looking behind, and there's a huge rainbow over New York City. There was actually a double rainbow.
What?
But the fact that we had to find people taking a picture for us to find the natural beauty moment, you know, it cracks me up.
By the way, that's so crazy. So there was a song, you know what I've noticed lately about, speaking of that, because we've been talking about rainbows, and we were trying to see it last night because it was raining and sunny.
Yes.
We couldn't find it before bed. But we played this song, and it's a Daniel Tiger song. Let me see if I can find it really fast.
Oh, I
no,
love
this is
that this has
important
gone
because
Daniel.
you know
No, I
why?
love
But do you
Daniel.
know why?
No.
It made Haley's eyes well up.
Hoda used to go to the Grammys after party, and now she spends her Sunday nights listening to Daniel Tiger. I knew this day would come. Remember when you'd be like, oh yeah, just hanging out at the Grammys, and you'd be like, what'd you do this weekend? And I'd be like, oh, not much.
Oh, that's so funny.
Right?
That is such a funny thing.
It is so true. Now
But
Daniel
Goodnight
is
Sun makes me emotional now. Everything does. Everything does. It happens. All right, that's it for this episode of Today Talks. Keep watching for more of Today All Day.